Oh god, I'm so nervous. I'm so freaking nervous. I have to drink some more water. Maybe I should just unscrew that. Use it like a straw. Hello. I need to take like another minute to calm down before I start. Okay. Whew. I'm so nervous. I took a little look at this beforehand. The game, you know, just to make sure it all works and everything. It does... Oops. Where's my video game? It does have, at least one audio track that the person who made this game commissioned. And I posted a link to the game. I believe it's free now. It was, it did cost money when they first released it. I believe the creator is Masha. I think Masha did all the art. I'm not sure if they also did all the writing or if they got other people involved with that. So, this is basically going to be like a fan fiction reading, so I'm kind of nervous. But yeah, as you can kind of tell, a little bloody, a little saucy. Oh, I'm so nervous. And let me at least also give you guys the premise here. Where is the premise? Specifically, this is like an AU around the time of Char's counterattack. What? What's happening? What? Hold on. Yes. As long as I enjoy it. And I think that it said that there's 3 different routes, which I'm kind of curious. I don't know. I'm going in very blind. Let me see. Fan-made visual novel. AU setting for CCA where war is averted in exchange for Amuro's permanent residence in Char's custody. Ah! I've read like so many fan comics with this similar premise. Okay. I'm gonna stop the BGM and we're gonna get to it. Okay. Okay. Ah! Okay. It's okay. You can do it. Like I said, there will be a little bit of background music, but it might be very quiet, and it might take a minute to kick in. May, UC 0093. Early morning. Oh, there we go. I also should probably double check the sound volume on my setting, or on my my phone real fast while the music is still kind of kicking in. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's see. That should be fine. I think volumes sound fine so far. I think it's all okay. I'm so nervous. You know, I thought about doing a fan fiction reading at one point, but I think I would be like too embarrassed to do it sincerely. Or to like actually read a fan fiction that I like, even if it's a stupid one. It's cold, which I'm not used to this time of year. The heating used to simulate some semblance of daytime temperature in the colony, Works at its usual bare minimum, and I forgot to turn on the domestic heater again. The cold helps wake me up as much as it makes me want to crawl under the covers, never to emerge. The duvet cocoon feels almost safe. Almost like I'm on raw... I actually can't pronounce that. Calum? Kylum? No. Earth. No. I suppose it's actually the same everywhere in the end. Sweetwater is no different from any other colony. A little dingier, probably. Overpopulated in a way that feels oppressive when I step outside the apartment. I sit up. Inside is about as spacious as my quarters. How do I pronounce this? I am so bad at this one. I need, like, the Japanese pronunciation guide. Ra-kaidum. Ra-kailum. Okay, that's what I'm gonna go with. I don't know if I'm going to be brave enough to upload this VOD. Oh. OBS, did you freeze? Okay. Bedroom, kitchenette, bathroom. All fit essentially on top of each other, requiring effort and maneuvering to carve out a path from one to the other. One saving grace is that there's no space for guests. Another is that there's no invasive intercom system, no video feed. At least not that I'm aware of. Being monitored is nothing new to me. So as long as I'm not woken up at random hours of the day with blue screens and orders, the whole setup is almost relaxing. It's been 3 months since I arrived. Though, that makes it sound like too voluntary of a decision. It wasn't Bright who made the call, but he gave the orders. He looked almost forlorn at the time, but I was only confused. In fact, I'm still confused. It was after our chance encounter in Londinian that a peace treaty with Neo Zeon was announced. I've definitely read this fan comic before. Where Char, instead of buying the Axis, buys Amuro. And then the terms. It all felt like a joke. I'd stopped fearing for my life by the time I joined Londo Bell. How could I not be shocked hearing a demand for my execution? At least, that was what it felt like. Suddenly felt like I hadn't known Char at all. He wouldn't do this. He couldn't. Didn't realize I still held on to any trust in him that I could lose. If he couldn't shoot me down on the battlefield, he didn't have the right. Wasn't even self-preservation that infused my outburst. Felt like a kid again, shouting at Bright like he was the cause of my misery. All the harsh words, all the accusations, the embarrassment, only to end up here, months later. Still in Sweetwater. Still alive. With no clear purpose. No execution date. Char told me to put that out of my mind entirely. Char himself. I checked the time. Our meeting is scheduled about an hour from now, and if I get up now, I could just about make it. Shedding the duvet takes an inordinate amount of effort, as does washing myself. Hold on, I want to look at one thing real fast. Oh. Wrong thing. I could be wrong. I see the creator of this, Masha. I wonder if they're going to make another one. Just based on a couple of things that I saw them draw. That kind of had like visual novel sprites. Hold on a second. Oh, okay. As thus dressing myself. Watching the time tick by on several digital clock faces doesn't incite me to rush and only daunts me. Uncertainty daunts me. I feel even colder, wet after the shower, and the bed beckons me back. But I just about manage to resist. Maybe he really would kill me if I didn't show up. He knows where I am, having provided me with the apartment himself, though he left me to my own devices after handing me the key. He's not come by, nor have I seen him this side of town. Free you from the yaoi? Never. Never ever. What kind of yaoi have you been participating in recently? Is it Limbus Company? What's good? What are the cool ships these days? I don't know if I should get too sidetracked. What'd I say? Sidetracked? I saw people arguing about how English speakers pronounce yaoi. I feel like if you say it fast enough, it sounds like a W, like yaoi. But if you say it properly, it's yaoi. But both answers are wrong because Japanese people don't even say that anymore. They just say bieru. It's BL. I don't know why. I feel like a week ago everybody was like, I can't believe all the... It's always funny when it's like English speakers who are like, I can't believe these other English speakers pronounce it yaoi instead of yaoi. I'm like, okay, get off your high horse. You know, do you tell your friends, are you like, hello friends, would you like to go to karaoke? No, you probably say, hey friends, let's go to karaoke, you know? Yeah, that's the funniest part is like Japanese people don't even use that word anymore. That's why like whenever I use the word yaoi, I don't mind saying it like yaoi, like really fast with a W, because to me I'm saying it in like a jokey way. If I'm like in the grind set, I usually will call it BL. If I say yaoi, I'm usually saying it like as a goof. Ugh, but don't even get me started, you know. Westerners be like, Westerners be like, Westerners be like. They all think they know things about Japanese culture, but they don't. They're stupid. That's why you still get people who are like, actually, BL is the non-pornographic version. It's like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. The same people that'll be like, actually, it's called Shonen Ai. It's like, don't say that. Please don't say that. Okay. Tangent aside. Japanese nationalists in Europe. I will allow your hate speech this time. Yeah, all those quote unquote Japanese accounts that are definitely not Japanese. Shonen Ai, ugh. Somebody educate these people. Someday I'm gonna have to make my PowerPoint presentation about BL and the history of words and gay komi versus BL and like things that they have in common and things that they're different about. Because people don't understand. Everybody thinks they know. Anyways, let's get back to this fan fiction reading. I'm passionate about it, you know? Like, I'll admit, if you were to ask me about, like, the difference between, like, GL and Yuri and all that, I would be like, look, that's not my demographic. I couldn't tell you the nuances between those things. But when it comes to BL and Fumuke content, I'm all about it. Yeah, not my monkeys, not my circus. But I don't know what to expect. I take the train. The car isn't full. Our meeting is arranged for after the typical morning rush. Mostly the elderly on at this time, eager and chatty. But today, I'm thankfully left alone. This isn't the first time I'm making this journey. Not by far. Everything is familiar now, like I'm used to it. Oh, I guess one final warning that I forgot to add to my post about this. I think Masha, I don't know if Masha has any preferences for top or bottom. Me personally, I like Char on top. You know, I like Char to be putting his penis in Amuro's butthole. That's just me. Amuro's butthole and or vagina, depending on how you look at things. Masha, I suspect, is probably the other way. I suspect Masha probably likes Char on the bottom, but I'm not sure if they have a preference. Like I said, I have a preference, but I have some exceptions for really good art. But I still prefer one significantly more than the other. You know, I'm just... Sorry, I've actually said this on stream before once, even though which is really embarrassing, but I'm like, you know what? I think new types can all have vaginas. They can all, maybe they all have both. You don't know. Tomino himself told me. You can't see Char topping? That's really mean. That's a hurtful thing to say to me. That's really upsetting. You don't get it. What a horrible thing to say. Yeah, new types, they're just built different. I'm always mean to you? No. No, I'm not. I'm just awkward. I can't believe you would say Char isn't on top. I am a baby. I'm just a sad little baby. Hardly miss any of the life I had 3 months ago. Maybe Chan. I miss her warmth. Man, I got some art to send you later if you're gonna be like that. I have more propaganda I have to send you. I think it's time you see what Char can do. She was easy to be around, but there was little we could do but break up in the end. I was certain I'd be dead by now, though I assured her Char was not that kind of man, that this wasn't the sort of thing he would do. I was trying to console her, but maybe I should have listened to myself and spared myself some degree of dread. I'm so mad. Arts has terrible shipping taste. I hate him. He's so mean. Our meetings occur at either the government building near the bay or his personal residence. The house is closer, and it's one of the few private buildings I've seen here that has an estate. Look, I'm a Japanese-style fangirl, okay? I take my shipping very seriously. Like, painfully seriously. Beverly Hills Station is only a few stops from where I get on. The bulk of the travel time is spent on walking to the house. I could call a cab, and sometimes I do, but the walk breaks the I can't say that word. Mundanity and repetitiveness, and frankly, it's good for me. That's what I was saying, you gotta go for a walk. That's what Chan would say. Probably. I'm more used to the treadmill on the rock Kylum. Its predictable flatness and adjustable speed. A belt to keep me tethered to the idea of exercise. The contrast of this walk reminds me of Earth, and ironically makes me hate it. The only thing that propels me forward is Char's command. No, the desire to see Char. To see his disappointed face as I'm late again. Might as well be my main form of entertainment now. I find myself walking faster once I see the house's silhouette peeking over the trees. I feel like I need a special facial expression for this. What are my facial expressions? Sparkle eyes? I think sparkle eyes fit. Actually, give me 1 second. Heart eyes? I don't think I have heart eyes. What do I have? I have something that hold on, I unequipped it. Let me put it back on. I think it's this. Okay. I said I was never going to use this, but I'll be a little blushy today. The only time I'll ever use this. I find myself walking faster once I see the house's silhouette over the trees. I check my watch. By the time I'm at the front door, I'll be 40 minutes late. Gate at the estate opens before I get close to be held up by it. It opens maybe even a little too early this time. The same cannot be said for the front door. I ring the bell and wait. And wait. It's a full 3 minutes before he answers. I sensed no movement behind the door before it was suddenly open with Char standing immaculate and dispassionate without a trace of annoyance on his face. Let me move the mic a little bit closer. He's wearing a housecoat, his hair styled back as it now usual. His eyes are entirely exposed. Hold on, let me drink some more water. I think the artist did a really good job, you know, trying to be pretty close to model, pretty close to being on model CCA style. I'm not going to be able to do different voices for these guys. If I could, I would. But I don't have a cool manly voice. The door was unlocked, Amuro. Right. News to me, and stupid too, considering who has a vested interest in his death. He steps aside and entirely out of the way to allow me inside and welcome warmth, and silently delegates the closing of the door to me. Oh yeah, I think this game is about... It says that it's about 1 to 2 hours. I don't know how long it's gonna take to do multiple routes though, so we'll see. I don't have a good Char or Amuro voice, unfortunately. And I'm not gonna tarnish these guys by giving them, like, southern voices. Since it was apparently unlocked, I leave it that way. Admittedly, partially to see his reaction. How fun would that be? This isn't about fun. This is about grandma's smut. This is for me, okay? This isn't for you. There is none. He's already walking away. The mere glide of his steps, beckoning me to follow. If I hadn't just made the entire journey here, I'd be tempted to disobey. No matter what kind of leader he may be. Whether I'm a citizen, a refugee, or prisoner here. He doesn't exactly feel like an authority figure to me. But I have yet to defy him. In fairness, it might be the lack of military orders. He often talks of me piloting, and I'm unsure if he's evaluating or planning something, but I've not touched a mobile suit since arriving in Sweetwater. He attempted on one occasion to show me his personal mobile suit, the Sazabi, but was called away by one of his fellow politicians, whose name I still do not care to remember, and I was simply sent back. It's not like I want to pilot, and despite the treaty, I don't trust his intentions, but my presence here is still a frustrating mystery. He makes me meet him, follow him here and there, and nothing. He just wants to be close to you. Perhaps he's waiting for me to ambiently pick up some political proficiency. I'd be a lousy ambassador, and he knows it. It isn't like we only talk politics, and in fact, that topic seems to be an almost insignificant fraction of the time I spend with him. He prefers to reminisce. I leave my outdoor shoes at the door and follow him along the corridor, and by habit stop at his office. He continues, however. How have you been? Fine. Our conversation always starts out stilted, like we're practicing a new language. I've never been good at those, so I'll leave it to him to get on with it. He takes me up the stairs, which is new, to where I presume the bedrooms are. Must be several, based on the sheer size of the building, which I would be tempted to call a mansion had I not been thinking about my house in Cheyenne this morning. That's good to hear. He opens the door and gestures for me to enter. I'm gonna move my monitor over a little. The bedroom suite is just that. Not overly large, with a bed and desk and seating area, and a door leading to what can reasonably be assumed to be an ensuite bathroom. Looks immaculate, like a hotel room. As I stand surveying this unfamiliar environment, Char takes a seat in one of the armchairs. You're adjusting well, then? I've lived in a colony before. He of all people knows this. Admittedly, this is quite different. Eating well? It's like he can see right through me. No, I can't be trusted to consistently eat. So what? What's it to him? I'll send for breakfast. He says it just as I'm about to respond, having fought the bubbling frustration. Will you have tea, coffee, whiskey? Isn't it too early? I want to humor you. Coffee's fine. The room is painfully plain, but the decorative wall paneling and ornate, The room is painfully plain, but for the decorative wall paneling and ornate furniture. It's stylish in that retro-modern way, boring in its minimalism. It's as if he doesn't even live here. I finally sit down across him, since there is little point in looking around, and the way he's looking up at me, observing me in turn, is putting me on edge. I'd prefer him with his sunglasses on, if he keeps this up. He's usually buried in documents if we meet at his house, so I suppose this is unusual. Char rings the house staff over the intercom and arranges for a pot of coffee and a single meal. My cheeks suddenly flare up, and I feel embarrassed in a way I never had with Frau Bao. The comparison that comes to mind is even more mortifying. Are you going to watch me eat? The day's only started for me, and already I'm stupidly blurting things out. I already had breakfast. We'll be having coffee together. He responds calmly, in a way that is oddly soothing. I hum and catch myself before I bite my thumbnail. Instead, I shove my hands into my pockets and push myself back into the seat. A weird sliver of guilt itches in me to say something and start our next bout of short, senseless conversation. You're not in the office today. And by extension, neither am I. But it feels weird to call us we. I have taken a personal day. That would explain his choice of dress. Never seen him in that before, but it fits the decor, of all things. I fumble another opportunity at conversation, though he is usually more eager to pick it back up before it deflates into nothing. The idea that he might be giving me the silent treatment over my arriving so late crosses my mind. We sit in silence for what feels like ages. Can't tell if it's any more comfortable for him than it is for me. Char in a bathrobe? Yeah, he's in like a house robe. That's how he dresses in Char's counterattack when he's with Nanai. This is like how my parents dress. Oh man, I'm gonna run out of water. I just mean that my parents are, not that they wear like bathrobes over their PJs and stuff that much, but sometimes they do. They're very like house slipper type people. Goodness. Did I read that? I sit in silence for what feels like ages. I can't tell if it's any more comfortable for him than it is for me. I hope it isn't. Yeah, Grandma's thirsty. She's thirsty for these boys to make out. Or hurt each other. Either one is good. He suddenly sits forward, holds his hands together in intense contemplation, diverting his gaze to the carpet. Actually, Amuro, I have a request I must make of you. I wait for him to continue as my breath quickens with a sudden onset of anxiety. It grows as his silence stretches. This is it. He's going to make me something. I can't. Can't think of anything. I can't think. There's a sudden knock on the door. Yes, come in. He sits up straight again. The door opens and a maidservant enters with a tray. Coffee and sandwiches. Perfect. Just on the table is fine. She sets everything down. The French press, the coffee cups, sugar cubes, milk, and a dinner plate of sandwiches and 2 smaller plates. Was that what he ordered? Thank you. That will be all. The maid leaves with a polite nod. I stare at the assortment. This definitely isn't what he asked for over the intercom. There are far too many sandwiches for just one person. He doesn't say anything about it. Please, help yourself. I look at him, uncertain. At least, this confusion is keeping my anxiety at bay. My request can wait. Though, maybe. He trails off, his eyes falling to the floor again. I don't expect him to pick that thought back up. I'm actually not that hungry. My stomach immediately betrays me with a loud gurgle. Char smiles. Look at Amuro's face. Of course he does. I insist. The sandwiches do look good. They're cut into little triangles, the sort of thing you would expect to see at a hotel lunch. Only if you have one too. I don't understand where my petulance is coming from, but a moment ago, I was ready to quietly persevere. Char laughs, amiable and contained. Seems genuine though, and he picks up a plate. Concerned about poison? Which one will you have me take? Not concerned about that. Choose whichever. He does, without hesitation. Perhaps he does want to humor me, as he said earlier. I take one with a thin layer of red running along the bread, assuming it's a relish or ketchup or some other tomatoey condiment sandwiches are made with. I'm not concerned about being poisoned, but I still wait for Char to bite into his sandwich first. He does so without much fanfare, and I tentatively follow suit, keeping my eyes on him. Maybe he chose the wrong sandwich, and will just keel over and die in a moment. No doubt I'll be blamed when I'm unable to speak from witnessing the horror of what just happened. I really have to stop with this train of thought, but it was him that put it in my head to begin with. It's impolite to watch another eat. Char laughs in a way that makes him sound self-conscious. I look away quickly. Would have every instinct and intention to apologize if I hadn't stuffed my mouth full of sandwich. I guess I really was hungry, but now I'm just embarrassed. Don't worry about it, Amuro. I eat mechanically after that. One sandwich after another to sate the hunger I've accumulated since yesterday's lunchtime. Though Char chastises me, he is the one who keeps sneaking glances at me. Maybe he considers that adequately polite, but I find it more oppressive. I wish he would just wear his sunglasses if he absolutely has to do that. He pours us each a cup of coffee and immediately dilutes his with milk, 2 whole sugar cubes. Excuse me. I decide to drink mine black, as if I'm compensating for him. For a moment, the conversation is almost pleasant, but my anxiety permeates the atmosphere, which he civilly ignores, but I imagine secretly revels in. It isn't until after he finishes the second cup that he returns to that request of his. There's something I've been thinking on. It's a matter that concerns none other but you. The coffee must have quelled some of his hesitation, though judging by his sickly disposition as he speaks, whiskey might have helped him more. Was that why he offered? I struggle to think what he could ask of me that would cause him so much turmoil. We must accept that you and I are soldiers by nature. Through the years, one conflict after another, we bore arms and we survived. A new type cannot stay away once inoculated into the environment. Each time we return to the battlefield anew, as pawns or leaders or both. It's suddenly as though I'm hearing one of his televised speeches, though the content is somewhat different. Is this practiced? Until there is suddenly nothing to return to. He looks down. Peacetime does not suit us. It's only been 3 months. Is he bored of it already? This is a man who cannot live without war. Now, my request. I could tell it was going to be something unreasonable from the start, but even I cannot predict the private desires of a megalomaniac. There is no need to involve any others. My previous thought is stopped in its tracks, and I'm at a loss for what to assume is coming next. Mobile suits are, of course, out of the question. For his own sake, or mine? Is he going to ask us to kill him? I finally managed to catch a wisp of his intentions. It would be undignified of me to invite you to a bout of wrestling in the garden. What is he saying? Not to mention inadequate. For what? And I regret to say that I do not have the equipment on hand for a sword fight. Neither do I. I've waited years already. He stares intensely into the carpet with some kind of crazed serenity. Ugh. The room starts to swim as Char exerts mental pressure. It grows leaden to the point that I must shut my eyes tight to cope. Has this ever happened before? It doesn't feel familiar, but I can't. I can't think. I can't think. Colors press down on my brain, jumbling my thoughts, heightening my instincts. Only there's nothing to react to but words. This has never been a space for words. Lala's nonsense from my dream comes to mind. I peek at Char. He looks so distant. There's an ocean of stars between us, his gaze far, directed elsewhere. He doesn't look at me. He can't look at me. Until he suddenly does. How can he not be affected? Amuro, I wish for you to remind me of our encounter at Baoku. The scene melts away. Huh? That's it? Remind you. Can't help but laugh with relief that already feels premature. I can barely recall the details. I was so high on adrenaline. If you want to play-by-play, I could try. But I had a far better recollection of our first meeting. Not that it wasn't also terrifying. Obviously, there's a difference between how my body reacted to being covered in mud and slightly intimidated by an enemy soldier and bleeding from an excruciating aerial sword fight wound. Though, if I gave it thought, I could still feel the wound pulse leaking all the way into my arm and glove. It's psychological. I couldn't have felt it as I was burning up from everything going on. It didn't even hurt until after I found everyone, until they found me. Perhaps Char would be satisfied with this. When I concentrate back on the present, Char's eyes have once again drifted, his hand raised to his forehead. This repeated aversion of eye contact would annoy me if I wasn't so preoccupied with my total and utter confusion. I wish to relive it. His fingers caress the scar between his eyebrows, received at the other end of my sword. To feel it. That might be beyond my ability. I'm no storyteller. My words take on a tone somewhere between sympathetic and apologetic. Anyway, I had done countless such interviews in the past. Perhaps it was only a matter of digging them back up. Char smiles sadly in a way that reminds me of just how many years I've known him. It's familiar. I'm not looking for words. I tense. I've had enough experiments in my time. I snap at him. Like I'm at liberty to refuse. In Char's Neo-Zeon. In his home. I may not be able to meaningfully resist, but I don't want to go lying down. Not to Char. Nothing like that. Now I'm more confused. I want to feel it. He repeats. He speaks like he's wading through a swamp to find his words. His fingers continue to stroke along the scar, up and down. I've never seen such mannerisms from him before. He doesn't fidget, doesn't shove his hands in his pockets. He might as well be now. Is he nervous? The significance of his actions begins to dawn on me. It's no coincidence. Was he trying to show me instead of saying it? Who could understand the wordless suggestions of a maniac? Me, I suppose. Unless I'm wrong. Hold on, let me scoot back in my chair. I'm like leaning really far forward. Let's move the mic and myself back. I want to feel the sting. I want to hear him say it. I want to bleed. No, I don't want to hear him say it, actually. He continues to stare off into the distance, and I'm no longer certain he's lucid. I want you to... He stops, like he just realized he's in the middle of a psychotic break. Someone should be made aware. It would be in the interest of the Earth Federation to have this information, of course. But someone here should be told. Char Aznable, leader of Neo-Zeon, is suffering a complete mental breakdown. I immediately feel embarrassed. Shouldn't I be concerned for Char? Instead of running to, I don't know, Nanai? Shouldn't I be getting up and shaking him to come to his senses? Feels like something has dulled in me. The distance between us has grown too vast. It doesn't matter anyway, because I'm unable to move, uncertain of his actions, disconnected from my body. I suppose I'll only move if he, for some reason, lunges at me. You must think I'm crazy. He looks at me again, with such sad eyes that I'm suddenly breathless. Yeah. He smiles. I'm not about to become a mental health services advocate, but maybe they're really good in Sweetwater. I've never felt so lucid. And that may be more concerning, in fact. He waits me to respond, but I have nothing. I don't know what to tell him. I wish he hadn't told me this. That is my request. His fingers finally leave his scar. He clasps his hands together in his lap, like I do when I'm trying not to bite my nails and have no jacket pockets to avail of. I'm the last person prepared to deal with this. Maybe if he started clawing at himself or bashing his head against the wall, I could stop him. But when he's asking me to, I don't want to think about it. He still hasn't said it aloud himself, so why should I think it? I remain silent, though I notice I'm breathing heavily, and he looks like he's about to start twiddling his thumbs with burgeoning anticipation. If you expect me to agree, you are actually mad. He's not denying it. Though if I think about it, I'm not surprised. Nothing about this is surprising me. Perhaps only that he verbalized any of it. Maybe that's good? Wow, we're already an hour in. Let me just make a manual save. I know that there's 3 endings, but I don't know like how the story is branching. If it's all just going to be at the end, or if there's going to be something in the middle. Whew. I want to drink more water, but if I do, I'm going to have to pee. His motivations have always been obscured, and no clarification ever felt satisfactory. Not on the battlefield, nor at our meetings that, until this point, have felt senseless. Oops. Was this what I was here for? Not just in this house, but in Sweetwater? Is this what you've been planning? Planning? No. As I said, this is just a request. There are no follow-up platitudes about how I can refuse if I so wish. No, you can walk out of here and we'll forget about it. But the reluctant implication seems to be there. This isn't an order or ultimatum. I don't feel like I can refuse, though. For whatever reason. I have to swallow and wet my lips before I can even speak again. What exactly are you asking me to do? There's a sudden glint of hope in his eye that I only remember seeing half a decade ago, and sparsely then too, as he kept his sunglasses on more often than not. Or maybe he had no cause for excitement. Maybe he wasn't this much of a lunatic just yet. It's often hard to reconcile that these two people are one and the same, but for some reason, not right now. Maybe the Char of AU... How do you say it in English? AEUG? Yugo. Would have asked the same of me, eventually. He just had a different list of priorities for his expectations of me at the time. Maybe this was right under joining him in space. A mere precise incision. I will not ask you to attack me. I keep feeling like he's leaving something out. Unless I want to? I'll leave that up to you. Can't believe him. Mere precise incision. Already feels plenty like an attack. Not about to beat him up on top of that. I don't know where he got the idea that he wouldn't resist either. Or, I don't know where I got the idea that he wouldn't resist either. Maybe it's his specification of precision. That maybe I don't think I could guarantee if I came at him full throttle with a weapon. Honestly, what am I even thinking? Why? Feels like I shouldn't be asking, but it's another thing I want to hear from his mouth. Not that he'll be inclined to tell me the truth. I feel restless. I'm shocked that he said anything, never mind that he provided an explanation, even if it's utter nonsense. I still feel like I understand him. Maybe my next stint in the psych ward will be less lonely with him around. Huh. Anyway, restless is probably not good for Char. I mean, if I am to look at where we are now. This will help? I asked tentatively. It's all I want. Yeah, this is an awful idea. If you'll indulge me. He says that with an expression that screams how full well he knows that I'm teetering on the brink of acceptance. Supposing I do agree. You want to know what's in it for you? More like what the catch is, with how simple you're making it sound. There is no catch. That's simple for him to say, but he looks so serious. Or even that I would suggest that. Maybe that I'm still delaying my response. You won't be pushing me out of the airlock as soon as you're satisfied, I guess? With the amount of effort it took to bring you here, stranding you in space is the last thing on my mind. Then I'll just return? Home? He takes this as an implication of insufficiency. I will personally grant you a work permit. You mean I wasn't even allowed to work all this time? Thought I was abstaining by choice. Despite the infringement on my rights, I find it all funny enough to laugh. He smiles too. You don't find our meetings to be an adequate substitute for employment? Not really, no. I haven't seen you in over a week. Our conversation suddenly sounds normal, like we're just friends. We never have been just friends. We won't actually be that either. The situation is too bizarre. I don't think there's a name for anything we have, or could have, between us. What have you been doing? Nothing. He can't chastise me for that, and it seems he knows it, so he keeps quiet. It seems like he just asked because it felt natural to. Ha. We sit in silence for a moment that stretches unbearably long. I'm thinking. Really, what choice do I have but to accept? There's nothing else to do but this. But not out of boredom either. Fulfilling his bizarre request, at least that's something in the sea of idle nothingness that my life has become, or has always been. Not some kind of warmonger, but at least, I guess I'm nothing but a weapon in the end. It would make sense for this. I realize I'm just trying to rationalize the irrational. Will you humor me, Amuro? He says, after enough time has elapsed that he has started playing with his hands again. Sort of endearing and sort of gross and pathetic. My confidence in this decision ebbs and flows with these feelings. All right. After all, was subduing a madman not the goal ever since Char rose to power? Perhaps not in this sense. Then let's. He gets up from his seat. What, right now? You've eaten, right? What better time is there? Yeah, and everything just might come right back up as soon as we get down to it. Where are you even planning to do this? I swivel my seat to keep track of Char as he walks over to the bed and turns back to face me. Is that the operating table? You catch on quick. I bury my face in the backrest of the armchair. You're unbelievable. We shouldn't be disturbed in this room. I hadn't even thought that far. I press my forehead further into the cushion. This could not be happening. Amuro says my name gently. I get it. I get it. I'm coming. I stand up to follow him on wobbly legs. I had that practice out of me with a gun in my hands. The blade was something entirely different. Speaking of, where was it? Char catches me by the elbow as I stagger to face him. I want to shake him off, but the support is honestly welcome, even though he's the one putting me in this position in the first place. Could he not choose someone else? Why am I the victim of his whims? The question is only rhetorical, as somewhere deep within myself, I understand completely. Oof. I don't know why this reading's taking it out of me. I'm all dry-mouthed. I'm gonna have to start taking my Chinese medicine again. He stands statuesque until I'm able to right myself. Give it to me then. It's always been him for me. I'll give you what you want. It's always been me for him. About that. I don't have anything on hand. Oh. Did he not want to get ahead of himself? He looks incredibly sheepish all of a sudden. Annoyance bubbles up within me as the steps between this moment and getting over with it increase on Char's whims. I didn't want to be prescriptive. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Please, feel free to search the house for your choice of instrument. I was about to say, are we actually going to go search for things? Cutting to little RPG adventure? Thought he had some kind of specific procedure in mind, but this just feels like some absurd social experiment. Is he going to map my choices to a new type of personality chart devised by the Sweetwater New Type Labs? Alone, is it? I will remain here. Right. So as not to influence me, no doubt. Or maybe stepping outside would ruin whatever delusion he had in his head. Yeah, stay in your pillow fort while I do all the dirty work. Whatever. I clearly sound annoyed, but Char gives me that look again. The one that's full of hope. He doesn't look crazed in any way. Only expectant, layered on melancholic. At least my legs obey me now, that impatience has taken over. I stride to the door and swing it open to the illusion of freedom. Amuro. I turn to him again. Please, do come back. I turn and exit the room to face his wicked errand. So I wonder if we have to find an item and that's going to determine our ending. I shut the door behind me, emerging into this bare, familiar corridor. Realize I'm totally unaware of the layout of this house. Frustrated and embarrassment won't let me return to ask. I could probably intuit my way around from past experiences of being inside homes. Who knew my time with Londo Bell could endow me with such transferable skills? Well then. Okay. Let's do a little save here. Oh, that's quick save. That's fine too. Ugh. Hold on. Maybe I should take this moment to get some more water and drink my Chinese throat medicine. Let's see. I'm gonna do that really, really fast before we proceed. Because I'm worried that I think it's gonna be one more hour-ish. But I don't know the exact progress. So give me a second. Yeah, give me a little break time. Give me like 2 minutes. Alright, I'm back. Got more water. Took the throat stuff. I haven't really been doing a lot of like heavy reading streams in a while. Gotta protect my voice. Make sure it stays nice and fresh. Char's office is the one familiar room, so I might as well try to find something there. I remember seeing his gun in one of the drawers, so logically it follows that he might have some sort of pocket knife around there too. Hold on, let's make sure I'm sitting back. Not gonna ruin my back today. I'd never seen him with one, but if it does exist, maybe we can experiment. I could corkscrew his skull instead. I instantly shudder at such a violent thought. I don't actually want to do that, obviously. I'm just frustrated. I had better become less frustrated by the time we get down to it. I stalked down the stairs and managed to avoid any staff, of which he doesn't have all that many anyway. Compared to my house in Cheyenne, it feels like this place practically runs itself. Maybe Char's girlfriend is just that much of a homemaker. But I probably just have a skewed idea of normalcy. Still hard to believe that laundry could be a daily chore. What do I know? I feel like now I'm like more on a flow and I'm trying not to interrupt myself as much while I'm reading. But I like that about Amuro. I like he's messy, he forgets to eat, he's just silly. Silly like that. By the time I reached the office door, I realized that of all rooms, this one would probably be locked. Though I am technically authorized to be here, I look around before trying the handle. Surprisingly, it turns, allowing me access, as though this was premeditated. Well then. I have no desire to rifle through the room. Documents and politics never interested me, so I head straight for the drawer where he keeps his gun. Naturally, it's locked. Well, that's good practice at least. I try a few more drawers, all of which are also locked tight. I must look like the most pathetic burglar right now. Reluctant to wander the house and start my search anew in a room that might be more likely to have some sort of knife, I begin searching his desktop, floundering for an opportunity. The pen holder contains just that, pens. There's an archaic sort of inkwell too, though no quill. Probably for the best, or I would have resorted to that. The mental image of Char with a feather sticking out of his head is rather unfortunate. Still gruesome, though. I'd rather not think that through. Or whatever, think ahead. Oh yeah, I don't think this game has a... Oh wait, is history? Is that the log? What? Okay. It does at least have a log, even though it's not the most easy to read. There's a more ancient-looking stationery sitting in one of the trays. A wax seal with his insignia, and what I first assume are crayons, but are probably just the accompanying wax. Red, naturally. And a dagger. No, a scalpel. No, this must be his letter opener. I'm exhilarated, then annoyed. No way this thing is sharp enough for anything but its manufacturer intended use. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I don't know if old-fashioned letter openers would have been sharper. They're not especially sharp, they're a little blunt. But they're pretty cool. Damn it. It's the misleading shape in the blade. There is a blade. As though attached to this instrument and ready to give up on it yet, I slash at the notebook lying on the desk. It cuts easily. Upon examination, the first several pages of Char's notebook are now entirely unusable. How in the world did this get past quality control? Maybe I'm misinformed about how sharp these things would be, but never in my life have I felt the need to take a literal knife to an envelope to open it. I slip the knife, a letter opener, inside my jacket. Best to avoid anybody seeing me carrying this around. Corridor is now just as empty on my way out as in. Before I know it, I'm back at the bedroom door, seemingly undetected. The thought to just leave hasn't crossed my mind until I'm gripping the handle to the bedroom and letting myself in. Pretty sure the gate opens automatically from inside. Ah, Amuro. He looks almost surprised from where he's standing near the window. Was he watching to see if I was escaping? I don't think the gate is even visible from that angle. I got it. I pulled the letter opener out of my jacket. Holding it out like this really does just look like a dagger or scalpel. I can't decide. How am I to know whether to play swashbuckler or a surgeon in our forthcoming play? Thank God he can't actually read my mind. Ah, my letter opener. He approaches me, but doesn't reach for it. How often do you even use this thing? Daily, almost. Written communication is more difficult to intercept, and I'm sure the Federation is dying to hear about our expenses regarding upgrades to the public swimming pool. I'm glad he can still joke at a time like this. He takes a final step forward, and the tip of the blade embeds in his dressing gown. His chest rises and falls steadily, his entire core following, and I can feel it push against the letter opener. I slacken my arm and let the blade move with his breathing, so he doesn't impale himself on it. I have no interest in stabbing him, though maybe if he starts on one of his philosophical debates where we just go around in circles, I'll feel differently. Well, I know he's taunting me the way he loves to. Once I'm used to the movements and I'm certain that I won't accidentally puncture him, I look up only to find that he's closed his eyes. Is this relaxing for him? All the while I just want to get this over with and get the hell out of here. You're gonna have to lie down. You can't get a good angle like this. He did imply that was why we were in the bedroom, right? He opens his eyes. Who's the impatient one now? Whatever that means. I don't want him to think that I'm about to enjoy this. But no matter what I say, I feel I'm just egging him on. Well, I feel like the music's changed quite a bit. It's gone louder. Okay, doesn't sound too loud. That's good. All right. Let me turn it down a little bit for me. Maybe just a smidge down. Yeah, it's really building up. Regardless, he steps away and goes to sit on the bed. I remember just in time to lock the door and give it a serious jostle for good measure. Then awkwardly join him by his side. This is beginning to remind me of all those times in the labs. The ones more akin to a doctor's visit. Except this time, I'm the one with the apparatus, so I guess I'll be conducting the research. Eyes, normal. Throat, normal. Not actually about to examine Char. Even though I can see that does not actually look normal. It has the look of a man who is at once perfectly healthy and deathly ill. The white robe isn't helping either. Isn't white the color of funeral attire in some cultures? I think I'd prefer to just think of him as a patient. Unless I mess up really badly. Lie down. I repeat, though I doubt he had forgotten, since it was the last thing I had said. I swear. He's being obstinate on purpose, in hopes of riling me up. He is good at it, I admit. He shuffles back to the cushions and reclines against them, properly oriented relative to the bed. Poof. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Not even sure why I'm laughing, but I am. Something wrong? He doesn't sound offended. I don't know. It makes it easier to sidle up to him and lean over to get in position. I was keeping the blade out of my line of sight, but now that both it and I are here inside Char's personal space, I'm once again intimidated. I feel too unsteady on the soft bed to even bring it close to his face. His piercing blue eyes aren't even looking at the thing, but boring into me with clearly visible anticipation. I can't look directly at them, so I look at the scar. It's longer up close, more obvious. Obviously, since it's right in front of my face. Still, it's not as prominent as it was just 6 years ago, even partially obscured by his fringe. Maybe the way it sat on top of his sunglasses framed it. Maybe it's just become hidden by his more furrowed, aging brow and discolored over time. My own scars have faded too, I suppose. Maybe that's the real reason he wants his scar refreshed. My entire arm refuses to do anything, though I'm willing it to move. Nothing keeps happening. I can't just cut into a man on a random afternoon in May. Perhaps we should close the curtains. He clearly senses my apprehension. Yeah. For some reason, it's so much simpler to get up and just do that. I leave the letter opener on the bed and wipe my sweaty hands on my jeans before touching the curtain. There's little else out there but pine trees, and we're elevated enough that nobody could see inside. I guess one could if they somehow traversed the balcony. Regardless, it feels wise to draw the curtains on this whole ordeal, and the off chance that we might be seen. He made me do it would hardly hold up in court, even if I managed to get that far. The room has become engulfed in darkness as I strain to move the fabric over the railing. There's much of it, and the ceiling is so high for no good. For a moment, I missed the simplicity of my original colony home, though that would be the last place I would ever invite Char Aznable. My thoughts seemed to take on a note of escapist nostalgia, which isn't exactly new, but it has been a while. I hear shuffling, and the bedside light turns on. He looks like some sort of royal, reclining on cushions against the ornate headboard. He's just missing the canopy over the bed. Whether I want to think it or not, the scene is almost intimate in that storybook way, save for the blade at his side. Actually, those feature a lot in fairy tales too. He picks it up and examines it dispassionately in the lamplight. He's just occupying his time, waiting for me to return, huh? I'm bad at making it on time lately, though, and I kind of don't want to disappoint him. I'm already here, after all, with nothing else to do in this room, or the entire colony for that matter. Yes, that's why. I finally will myself to move and return to his side. The bed buckles under my weight, so I shuffle in closer to close the gap between us, just for stability's sake. It's probably better if you're more horizontal. With how much give there is in the bed, I don't want him pushed down into the pillows, only to spring back up and impale himself. Thankfully, that's just my overly active imagination, and not some sort of vision. That doesn't mean it still couldn't happen, though. If you think so. He sits up to move the cushions to the side, then lies flat. Once again, more clinical, which I can't say I prefer, but it feels easier this way. And now that the blade has remained in my line of sight this entire time, I feel almost accustomed to it. At least, that's my excuse for how readily I reach for it now. I'll make sure. There we go. He lets me take it by the hilt, and for a second I'm embarrassed about my sweaty palms. Though the dampness has subsided by now, he definitely felt it, though he says nothing and merely flexes his fingers, looking at them wide-eyed. He's either grossed out or impressed that I'm taking initiative. The latter has a more Char-like feeling to it, but it's not like I ever truly know what goes on inside his mind. Maybe all it will take is prying his head open and taking a look, huh? The letter opener makes its way to hover over his face, and that finally catches his attention. I'm like a hypnotist with a pendulum. On the count of 3, you will forgive your mother for abandoning you, or however it goes. Please. He closes his eyes, at peace with what is due to happen. I turn and rest the flat side of the blade against his forehead, just to get a feel for the motion. Am I going to need to rest against his face for leverage? How do surgeons do it? I can't visualize anything but what's in front of me right now. I think you're trusting me too much with this. I could just poke your eye out. Please don't. So, still has some care for himself. That doesn't necessarily correspond to self-preservation, I suppose. It could be vanity. Probably takes some of that to look this good. I mean, accidentally. I have no control over that. My hands shake, you know. I hadn't noticed. I open my mouth to respond, but he continues. Only when you're nervous. What was that about you not noticing? You think I'm not nervous now? I'm holding a weapon to your face. Back in Londinium, I was nervous pulling the gun on him too, or I wouldn't have lost when Quest elbowed me. It's annoying to remember suddenly. I flipped the blade into position. Shouldn't I be the one nervous in this case? Char had calmly prevented her from taking a shot at me. I'm frustrated, just trying to imagine nerves getting the better of him. Maybe it's a reaction I want. Maybe I need this too. The blade, which had been merely resting against his skin, pushes in with as much intent as it takes to send a fin funnel to attack. Ah. He vocalizes his initial surprise, as if reacting to a pinprick, then transitions into a guttural sigh of realization. It seems like it takes him effort both to look at me and close his eyes, but he ultimately settles on keeping them closed as I press on. His brows twitch. Must be a struggle to keep them relaxed with something lodged between them. I try not to go too fast, though it's true that my hands aren't shaking right now. It's still awkward to maintain my position, and I do end up resting my hand on his face. He doesn't seem to mind. It takes a moment for the blood to bead in the blade's trail. It must be just that sharp. I can't say I'm used to pacing myself for another person, but if I go any faster than this, I feel like it won't satisfy him. Next time, he might request I actually stab him with some sort of miniature beam saber or something. That'll save time on wound cauterization, provided he lives at all. That seems to be the only way I can imagine it. He jolts suddenly. Sorry. Going so slowly and letting my mind wander probably made me dig in too deep. I don't mind it. I do mind it a little. Keep going. Alright. Suppose I can continue with encouragement. Use my free hand to angle his face back up so I can continue. He's all tense now, even though he wanted it. Relax your face, or it's going to go everywhere. I realize I'm asking the impossible, but his furrowed brows are making the wound gape in an unappealing way. Not sure what all this grunting is about, but he's clearly trying to comply. Kinda feels like I'm torturing him if I try to get him to relax. Not the actual cutting, though. That's the reward. I have to smile at how twisted that is. Thankfully, Char's eyes are still closed. I don't know what I would do if he saw my face and thought I was enjoying this. He exhales as I continue dragging the blade towards me. He's beginning to tremble, though I'm sure I'm not digging any deeper. Maybe I hit a nerve or something. Frankly, I don't know where those are. Does it hurt? I can feel him almost shake his head, but he reconsiders immediately. No. I can barely hear him the way he breathes it out. Maybe it really is just tension. He could just be so in tune with his body that he knew it required some archaic practice of bloodletting to heal. Though I heard it's back on the rise in some corners of the Earth sphere. I've heard that too. Blood is spreading, but remains on top of his forehead for now. Assuming he wants me to continue. I sort of arbitrarily pick a starting point, where his scar became prominent. But now that I can say I have experience in the field of specifically cutting through the skin on Char's forehead, not sure where I'm meant to finish. The scar gradually fades into where his eyebrows begin, so I should probably stop somewhere before then. Pomade in an open wound is would probably not be good if he uses it. His eyebrows look practically pristine, which in my experience seems to indicate that makeup is involved. Maybe I'm only used to looking at women this close. Almost there. He doesn't expect me to go over a second time, I hope. This isn't an art project. His hand suddenly grabs my elbow. Thankfully, that's the arm I'm just using to hold his face in place. Not even a real grip. Not even a grip, really. He's just resting it there. Maybe it's a type of raise your arm if you're in pain sort of measures, like a safe word. He could just yell, but maybe he doesn't want to do that in front of his rival. He's more disciplined than me. I suddenly remove the blade, and my hands with it. The procedure is complete. I must have surprised him because he finishes his vocalization with a whine. Maybe I should have warned him. Not sure what's polite here. Sorry. I inhale deeply and realize I must have forgotten to breathe properly until now. My heart is throbbing like it's trying to break free from my ribcage. Maybe it just hasn't caught up with me yet, but I don't feel any different. I watch Char hesitantly open his eyes to the ceiling. Then his gaze drifts down to me. He immediately frowns, which is a mistake, as the disturbed wound begins oozing blood. I get up and throw the letter opener to the bedside table faster than I can express my urgency. I rush to the ensuite bathroom on wobbly legs. I can feel him getting up behind me. Lie down. The movement stops. The bathroom is entirely empty, but I can't focus on that because at the very least, it has what I'm looking for. I return quickly with toilet paper roll. Char's back to his original position, though now with blood threatening to drip off either side of his forehead, and more of it pooling in his eye sockets, which he has of course done nothing about. Sight is grim, bringing back countless memories, and him anxiously clutching my hands together at his sternum is not helping in the slightest. I carefully return to my seat by his side. It's an inelegant solution, but I layer several sheets of the bathroom tissue together and dab at the sides of his head first. I'm usually not concerned with matters of laundry, but I feel strangely considerate about it now. It might be the homeliness of being inside an actual home. It's better not to soil the sheets. Don't open your eyes yet. I didn't think he would, but I say it anyway for some reason. I swipe at his eyes with the tissue, and he winces again, and my work is undone. Stop moving your forehead, you're making it worse. The wad of tissue is a goner, so I wrap it in another 2 layers and start anew, forehead, then eyes. He braces once more, but only the muscles under his eyes twitch. I may be the one ordering him around, but his self-control is impressive. Maybe I should tell him exactly that. I move to his second eye, and he's even stiller this time. Your self-control is impressive. Slips out in a mumble, just as I had thought it. I don't care about it too much. The situation is too weird. And if any associated social cues exist, we're the ones creating them. Oh wait, I'll do another pass. I don't want to see him with those creepy red eyelids, but it looks like the blood already stained his skin. I deposit the lump of bloody toilet paper on the bedside table, right by the letter opener, then use a few new sheets to get the rest of the blood. I can't get it if it's dry. Just mumbling now. I don't know if he wants to hear anything from me. Maybe it's because he's blinded that I feel the need to narrate my thoughts. He carefully wets his lips. Never expected head injuries to bleed this much. His voice sounds strained, probably because I'm the one who's been talking for the past while. Quite the reversal of our usual. You'd be surprised. One time they took a peek inside me and the blood wouldn't clot properly. I think I went through about 30 bandages before it finally closed up. I try to laugh at my sudden anecdote, but the memory is suddenly too vivid and unpleasant, and I begin to feel ill. The stress of this entire procedure is probably compounding the nausea from my memories, or maybe the other way around. I feel a pressure on my thigh. Char, blindly and awkwardly, on so many levels, awkwardly feels for something to grab onto. I'm immediately concerned, then realize that it's his own concern that he's showing me. I place my hand over his on my thigh to still it in its search. It's not that the touch is unpleasant, just that it feels like it should be anybody else in the world before Char. Though maybe it's not as if we haven't touched in any way before. Oh wait, did I misread that? Though it's not as if we haven't touched in any way before. In fact, he used to be quite touchy. He's just useless at comforting, in any conventional way at least. And he doesn't seem to be in the mood for negging right now. Didn't expect to see the word negging show up. In some roundabout way, he does quell my nausea. I pat his hand twice, and he receives the message to remove it. I'll go wet the tissue. He still hasn't opened his eyes. I assume due to the layer of drying, crusted blood. Or maybe the lack of my go-ahead. He always does give the impression of valuing my opinion. Ooh. Let me take a second to get some water, some breathing. I wonder how much is going to be same or different if I go to the other rooms. I wonder if it's all pretty much the same with different items or if it ends differently. Once again, I leave the bed, though this time my legs just feel cramped up rather than jelly-like. Oops. I'm moving up in the world of voluntary mutilation. I wet the tissue with lukewarm water. Then I return to Char's side, easier than leaning over him upright, and wash his eyes. I avoid the wound itself to let it clot over, and he remains still as can be, to the point that I'd want to check for signs of life, if he didn't hum at me when the wet tissue touched his skin. I guess I could say it was a whimper if I had an agenda to characterize him in some way. The blood washes away easily. I fold the tissue over to clean his forehead too, though my main concern was having to see him with those creepy, bloody eyes. Kinda wonder why I'm still here, doing this, when I should have asked to be dismissed at the precise moment his request was fulfilled. I still struggle to put a name on it, and I'm not sure I ultimately want to, unless it happens again. Or maybe in case it happens again. I feel unusually superstitious. Okay. It's probably fine, unless you start frowning. Maybe don't sit up yet either. Char takes this as his cue to let his eyes flutter open. He looks around the room like he's seeing it for the first time. The ornate ceiling, the panel walls, the abundant dimmed light sources, the mock antique furniture. His clear expression won't even let me imagine that he might be reevaluating the design choices. He reminds me of a newborn animal. I can no longer tolerate the silence, and after doing all that for him, I feel I deserve some kind of response. A review, perhaps. How was your lobotomy? He looks at me, and I see his lip quirk. Despite everything in the world, it satisfies me how well my quips go over with him, how easily they come to me to begin with. I feel like a new man. Sounds genuinely relieved, albeit hoarse. I could wash out one of our coffee cups, serve him water from the bathroom tap. But I don't want him to take it as me being eager to please him. Sorry if it's crooked and ruins your good looks. He laughs carefully, expression unmoving. Don't worry about that. I'm not. I just don't want to leave just yet. Who knows what he could get up to without me to intervene, after he allegedly got everything he wanted from me. Actually, I want to leave immediately. He seems docile for now, so it's probably fine. I may have decided to stand up, but instead of my legs moving, it's my mouth. What if the new scar heals better over the old scar and erases it right off your face? What am I saying? Next round of Would You Rather? He looks at me strangely. Eyebrows raised despite my warnings. Yet it's not flowing, but a small bead of blood collects on his forehead. I unroll another few sheets of toilet paper. Then I would have you return. It's simple the way he says it, like the natural conclusion I should have arrived at myself. He'll need me to do it again, huh? He'll need me. I hope it heals right over. Are we at credits? Char's Ennui abated. What is this? Is this extras? Perhaps a hairstyle like yours could freshen things up. Yeah. Script editor, writer, artist. Let's take a look at the what happens if we go in one of the other rooms. I wonder if that changes like the ending very much. I hope all the endings have like a slightly different thing. All right, let's go back here. Let's go to the kitchen. Ugh. I'm saving more of my thoughts for the end. Ugh, I should have got... I kind of wish I'd got more soda when I got up, but it's fine. I'll just keep drinking my water. I shouldn't have as much soda as I do anyways. Yeah, I hope there's more silly illustrations like that at the end. Fucking Gune. I kind of like him, but he's such a scrub. It's so funny. Kitchen is a natural choice if I want to find an instrument. Most household cutting does occur in the kitchen, and unless I want to take a lawnmower to Char's face, I see no reason to think any further than that. I descend the stairs, passing Char's office, the only familiar room to me, save for the downstairs bathroom. I rarely feel like eating, and I don't ever, well, ordinarily at least, see him eat either. Even if he has me stay over lunch, all we have is coffee or soft drinks. Him at his desk and me at the coffee table. There are several more doors, probably a sort of reception, dining room. Outside looks more modern than the interior, with its aristocratic twist. I'd balk at Char's ostentatious display, but Londinian is the same. He keeps up with the trends. I figure the kitchen is the farthest door back, and I walk in. Mild elation at being correct grants me the clarity to look around instead of going straight for the knife block. It's a kitchen, so obviously it's bigger than my kitchenette, but also my entire apartment to boot. It's more utilitarian than the rest of the house. Tiled neat and pristine, and most importantly, empty. The knife block is on the counter, right next to a wire fruit basket. I grab one of the handles poking out at an angle and pull. Small, probably a paring knife. That's probably fine, handy and easy to wield, and though I may be thoroughly reluctant to, I can imagine this as the tool for the job. But I like to be thorough when it comes to tools. Apparently, even if it means having to visualize Char's bisection over and over. I release it back into its crevice and pull out a serrated bread knife. Ooh, don't do that. Oh. The image is immediately too gruesome not to frown at. The next knife is a chef's knife, and so the one after. Curiosity gets the better of me, and I pull both out to compare. Not sure what I'm looking for. I'm neither a chef nor a maniac. One knife is simply larger than the other. Long time ago, I accidentally cut my finger a little bit with a serrated bread knife because I was being stupid, and I was like, I'll just hold the bread and cut it. Oof, that's painful. Healed up nicely, though. No scars or anything. Right into my, I think, my pointer finger? My left pointer finger, I think it was. Just right in there. I hear footsteps. I scramble to replace the knives, then remember what I came here for, and quickly drop one inside my jacket, where it is also kept up by the elastic of my waist. I've also cut myself with a scalpel, too. Those things are so sharp, you don't even know you're cut until later. Like, you may not bleed right away, but it'll sting like hell later. Just about to manage to twist the knife block to the wall so the missing handle is less apparent, and grab an apple to serve as my excuse before the source of the footsteps enters. You know what? Actually, I think I was doing something really dumb when I cut myself with a scalpel. I was at work, and I was like, I had some really bad hangnails, and I was like, what if I just use a scalpel to cut them off? Because we have scalpels at work, so I was just like, okay. Stupid. I should have just grabbed some surgical scissors if it was that painful. It was a really bad hangnail. Yeah, now I know. Don't do that. Or do it more carefully at the very least. I was at work, so I didn't have any nail clippers. That's why I was like, I'll just use this. Yeah, I should have really just used surgical scissors, but I didn't want to because like the scalpels are like one use, and even though surgical scissors are like cleaned and everything, they still feel dirty to me. Like they get cleaned and occasionally autoclaved, but they still feel dirty. I already forgot. Which knife did he just grab? He didn't say. He just said he dropped one in his pants. It's the maid from before. Oh. She appears from a door on the far side of the kitchen and jolts at the sight of me. Some kind of warning force would have benefited her, as well as me, but she probably just came in without malicious intent. Would Char feel me come in with a knife? That was provided if I even made it back now. If she raises an alarm, there's no way this wouldn't look like a pathetic murder attempt. Excuse me, did you need something here? The blade feels huge, but at least it seems to fit the natural pucker of my jacket. I'm only naturally hyper-aware here. Apple. I sound stilted and childishly awkward, but I coolly raise the apple in my hand to show her my pick. Hopefully she just thinks it's suave. She's not sure about my being here. Char said I could grab something. Alright. Just invoking the name is enough to put her somewhat at ease. Probably because I am literally telling the truth with that one statement. And she approaches the side of the kitchen, meandering as far from me as socially acceptable. I shift to surreptitiously conceal the knife block and its missing element. Sandwiches were nice. Oh, thank you. I'm not made for this type of conversation, and maybe she isn't either, or it's specifically me she wants to avoid. It takes her scuttling about and aimlessly rifling through the cupboards, waiting for me to leave before I realize that I actually recognize her. She must have so little presence that I couldn't remember speaking with her inside the apartment I was currently staying at. That was, of course, me telling her not to return, after Char had sent her to clean the place up. She had been evasive then too, and seemed relieved when I sent her on her way. I leave the main door and hope she sticks to the cabinets and overlooks the missing knife. Just because she's useless at small talk doesn't mean she's a ditz, so I better hurry back to the bedroom to not assassinate Char Aznable. I stuff the apple in my pocket and reach inside my coat to take a hold of the handle now that I'm moving quickly. The knife is heavy in my hands, not the sort of tool I'm used to wielding as a weapon. It's not a sword or a saber, though I suppose I've never actually held one with my own hands, my own flesh. Something smaller would have been better. The precision surgery I was led to envision is looking more and more like a murderous assault, despite my best efforts to stave off those images. Ugh. Can't return to the kitchen with the maid there. The chef's knife will have to do. Oh, I took the chef's knife? Oof. I made a concerted effort to neither run nor trudge up the stairs, in spite of my impatient and hopeless mood. I go up normally, and I open the door to the bedroom normally too. Catch Char in the middle of switching on the lights. He had just drawn the curtain, it seems. Oh. Amuro. I pull out the knife. For a second, he looks to be disturbed as I feel. Maybe it's just a natural reaction to someone brandishing a weapon in your vicinity. I'm not going to back down, unless you want to yourself. Is it my petulance in this case? Has to be self-preservation, right? Char watches me, no doubt figuring out the train of events that I'm too embarrassed to explain to him. It will do. He says like he's trying to validate my sense of inadequacy in my choice of weapon, not my awkwardness over the circumstance thereof. How are you planning to do this? Hold on a second, let me grab something. I'll give him back his agency with my phrasing at least. I'll be as little part of this as I can be. He looks thoughtful for a moment. I will lie down. I sigh relieved. I was afraid he would pass back the baton. He sits on the bed, then scoots back until he's reclining against the cushions. It's too domestic. He's in his robe and something that could well be a pajama set. Though the colors of the shirt and trousers aren't the same, I don't think he's the type not to match his pajamas. I can imagine him getting dressed for an execution. He shimmies back until the flat of his forehead is parallel with the ceiling, his neck exposed. He must have complete trust in my reluctance to use the knife as I might see fit. If I truly hated him, maybe I wouldn't be able to resist. Is this accessible? If that's his way of beckoning me over, it's effective. I approach the bed. Once again, I visualize the task at hand. Right-handed, so I circle around and join him on the other side, clambering over the entire half of the bed. And he watches me, which is awkward, but I guess we're even now. Knife is so out of place in this room, especially on the bed. There's a sense of surreality about all this, like a dream, which allows me to simply raise the blade and hold it to his face. Does he know what he's contending with? His expression is calm, but not apathetic, like the face of a movie hero about to turn the tide on a villain. No, it isn't. I'm just shoehorning us into roles, and I become some sort of mugger in my own mind. He actually looks a bit excited, which is what I may be struggling to grapple with. There's a subtle smile on his lips, and I'm tempted to tell him to knock it off. Tempted to knock it off myself. I hold the knife over his face, and nestle the blade on the divot of his scar. He closes his eyes and inhales like he's at peace. This man is crazy. I shift my focus to the overall picture. His head, the knife, my hands. The thin blade, sandwiched between two halves of bulbous cranium, suddenly evokes an image of splitting watermelon. I remove the knife entirely before allowing myself to chuckle. What is it? feel like a serial killer. I blurted out, laughing harder. He hums curiously in response. It's just the kitchen knife. Does he not see it? It's like a movie prop. He hums again, more contemplative this time. Cereal. Who else are you planning to kill with the knife? I have to do a double take. Is he playing along? Does he actually think I'm planning to go on a murder spree? I guess you're the only one. A regular murder, then. I guess so. He watches me twirl the blade, catching light off the lamp. Even with all the talk of murderers, he still looks intrigued. He knows it's coming before I do. Suddenly holding the knife to his extended neck, Char sighs and closes his eyes again, like he's receiving a massage or something. Like this is therapeutic. Not sure why I did that. Maybe I thought it'd be funny. Before I can retract my hand, he blindly takes it and guides the blade closer again. This may be the first time his skin has touched mine, without the barrier of fabric. It doesn't feel like a new experience, but I take notice anyway. It snaps some clarity into me. The edge of the knife once again pressed to the skin of his neck, but I would rather ignore it now. I stare at his hand on mine. If I concentrate hard enough, the blade will enter the blind spot in my vision. You stopped wearing gloves. They're a standard part of military uniform, I thought. Obviously, he wouldn't be wearing them with his house clothes, but they look strangely familiar in a way they once weren't. It's not something I ever thought about until now. Why am I even bringing this up? It's like I'm trying to delay whatever's about to happen. They make me feel too much like a performer. He does love waving his hands around in broadcasts. You have the cape, just missing the top hat and dove or something. Why did I hesitate? Are all manner of birds entirely unmentionable, or just white ones? Char's made no indication of either being the case, but I know he knows. It all feels so ridiculous and suffocating always. Conversely, Lala mentions him every time. Char sighs deeply and then looks at me. I carry a sword to compensate. I'm just waiting for someone to get in the box. You know how to use it? You would need a dozen more for the magic trick to be effective. I've been practicing. Since Bao Q? Yes. I understood him correctly then. He was wasting his time if he thought I wanted a repeat. I haven't. I stand no chance here. I'm sure you can just throw me down if it comes to it. I feel his restless anticipation return with the pertinent topic. Is this not enough? He's the one that pulled the knife back to his neck. He hardly expects me to cut him here. It's only resting on the skin now that I look at it. There's no tension or resistance. His hand is still on top of mine, and I can feel the pulse through the palm. Experimentally, I graze the edge of his neck. This is barely any different than a shaving motion, just lacking the foam and the correct instrument. Not that I have shaved anybody else before. It's when I pull back that his breath catches, and I feel our heartbeats synchronize. I feel like I'm threatening him, even though the whole thing is his idea. Although, this isn't at all what he asked for. It's difficult to make the transition back to the original plan, when he's clutching me in place. Maybe it's the vulnerability of combat that he misses. The beating of the odds, the display of one's prowess. Maybe he's the one about to catch me off guard and tackle me as soon as he's had his fill of being toyed with. I have no interest in being tested like that. I press the blade into his neck. It slips and glides against his skin. Oh shit, I nicked it. Char's eyes widen, and I feel him stiffen under me. So he's still concerned about his life, huh? Just the skin. It's not bleeding. At least, not as much as a slice through his jugular would. It's right above the vein, though. The sight of it is putting me even more on edge. Char's eyes dart to her hands on the handle. I feel his palm begin to sweat. He looks too uncertain to move. I thought you wanted me to kill you. Not certain where that comes from, but I must have believed it somewhere within me. And if I think about it... He breathes deeply. I don't recall saying that. I guess not. He hasn't said all that many things at all. In fact, always skirting around every possible thing. I feel like I'll never understand him. Shit. I hook my fingers under his collar and push it aside as the blood begins to drip down his neck. Tissue. Looks at me dumbly. In the nightstand? Nothing but a lamp on top of it. Pull my sleeve over my hand and catch the flow before it reaches the fabric. Whatever about my jacket. His shirt looks bespoke. Maybe. Maybe. Come on. Is that where you keep all your... Not sure I want to discuss this with him. Can't exactly go searching through the room if he isn't sure. There's surely toilet paper in the bathroom, but his shirt is in imminent danger if I let go. This feels so stupid, but I can't think. I can't... There's probably some in there. He looks as confused as I feel. Maybe he's losing consciousness, but not in the traditional sense. Getting bled just made him stupid. Before I realize what I'm doing, I'm rotating my wrist around to catch more of the blood. Temporary solution. Then I awkwardly maneuver the knife into his hand and throw myself over his body to access the drawer. Char grunts in surprise. The drawer is entirely empty, save for a hairdryer and a box of tissues. I begin to pull out the emerging tissue, but a split second of clarity, like a flash, guides me to grab the whole box. I scramble back and immediately hope to forget this sequence of events. My sleeve is still soaking up his blood as I pull the tissues out. At least the jacket is a dark color, so it won't be noticeable even if it doesn't entirely wash out. Actually, why am I concerned about this? He no doubt dressed in preparation to be covered in his own blood. Maybe he wanted a memento of the aftermath, too. Whatever. He's not protesting, and I've already sacrificed my sleeve. Ugh. I need to have a little water break. Whew. Oh, I did have a little bit of soda left. I can have that. Delicious. Seems like all the endings are quite different, which means I'm gonna have to play the third one as well. Maybe I will archive this one on YouTube as well. We'll see. Maybe it depends afterwards how crazy I get. If I say anything nutso. But I think I'm pretty calm right now. Let me just... Oh, excuse me, I hit the mic. Actually, it's been a second. Not that saving really matters at this point. I don't think... This game seems pretty stable. I don't think it's going to crash all of a sudden. His collar is still as pristinely white as could be. It's a small and inconsequential victory, but I'm happy at least something went my way. We stay still in silence that is neither awkward nor tense, thanks to the absurdity of the situation. That's not to say that it's pleasant, though. Generally, when he invites me over, he attempts to engage me in pointless chatter, or asks my opinion on things like policies or culture. That's when he's trying to avoid riling me up. He trapped me and had me lecturing him about various mechanics a few times too. That is to say, he doesn't seem to like the quiet. Are you going to keep holding that? He looks down like he just noticed a knife was in his hand. I notice I didn't feel at all threatened by that. Maybe my senses are just dulling. He moves slowly and blindly deposits it on the nightstand, his head perfectly unmoving on the cushion. I feel like I'm bleeding. You are bleeding. Sorry. Felt like that was clear. It definitely was. I'm glad I broke the silence, if you're just going to keep talking. But this kind of mindless drivel might be too much for me to handle right now. I feel like I'm constantly bleeding. He corrects himself plainly, staring up at nothing in particular on the ceiling. What's that called? Stigmata? There's a somber look in his face. Then it's as if he remembers to laugh. Perhaps that's it. This is one of those times where I'm not sure what to respond with, and instead just replace the tissues on his neck with a new bunch. Are these all you have here? I show him the box so he can stay still and bleed minimally. I'm not sure. I don't use this room. Huh? It's a guest room. What kind of guests are you having? I realize I'm assuming that he doesn't have friends. In fairness, he's never mentioned anybody like that. Nanai's family. This isn't even his bedroom. He's been planning to desecrate, pervert a place that wasn't even his bedroom. Not that I care, it's just a little funny. He probably considered the potential of Nanai returning to a pool of blood on her pillowcase. She would not care to look here since nobody's staying. Yeah, she wouldn't hear all your screaming and yelping while I massacred you. I thought I was more stoic than that. He responds immediately, glad he's matching my sudden onset of humor. I guess now we'll never know. You won't do it? Spoke too soon. For some reason, I thought this would satisfy him, or knock the idea out of his head completely. Seems like he truly does want something specific. You still want to? He must want to, since he asked. He rarely asks, if I think about it clearly. Do you have plans I'm interfering with? Guess he's still feeling humorous despite the shift in topics. I am not as much. What about you? What now that you're no longer attacking the Earth? He takes the shift in stride too, or at least makes no indication that he is at all surprised. I don't know, now that you're here. Me? What do I have to do with it? If this isn't all he wanted me for, then it all goes back to the question of why I'm here at all. He's managed to dodge my asking every time thus far. If he's truly losing it, he might not even know himself, I guess. I don't respond, and eventually he continues. Nanai called me petty. Sounds like he wants me to ask. I have no idea what you're talking about. Actually, I can see where she's coming from, but my response seems to have dissuaded him from continuing, and he looks forlorn. Guess I'm just used to rebuffing him on principle. In the new burst of silence, I realize he's perfectly capable of holding the tissue himself. But I'd hate to feel more useless than I already am, or than I already do. Must be really affecting him, because there's no way to describe it, but he's clearly sulking. He avoids looking at me in a way that's purposeful, that it's almost funny. You are petty. Remember what you told me? That I'm unlike you? I'm only a pilot? Petty, childish, difficult to shout these things in his face. But it's not like I haven't before, over comms. I'm angry at you. He says it so calmly. You hate me? If you hadn't been born. He hesitates, and I cut him off. You want me dead? It is like you're willfully misinterpreting me. I admit, I feel mischievous antagonizing him. Then what do you want from an Earthnoid like me? Char rolls his eyes. I thought he'd argue with my nomenclature, but he lets it go. This feels like another victory, despite me feeling neither one way or the other about all that now. He's quiet again, but looks like he's only collecting himself to say something. I wait patiently. I wish I got to experience you in the new Gundam. You were very graceful in the recordings. I'm jealous. Can't believe this is it. You're making fun of me. Char shakes his head against my hand, still on his neck. If you just listened. I'm listening now. You're babbling. He's at a disadvantage, lying on his back like an infant. His hands, though, are free to push me away, as they have been this whole time. Excuse me. Maybe he's just leaning into the whole pathetic and helpless existence thing. For some reason, Lala comes to mind again. I can't have anything. Huh? I'm babbling. He gives me a challenging stare that says, two can play at this game of agitation. I won't take him seriously then. If you could let me go. Next thing he's going to confess is that I have some hold over him. I'm only barely touching him though. Your idea of reality is directly inverse to what's true. I'm being obtuse and I know it. I begin to pull another couple of tissues and replace the bloody ones. The bed is becoming littered with them. I don't know if it's still bleeding, but better safe than sorry. My hand settles on his neck again, my thumb on his jaw. He's being a bit of a baby, and even I feel the urge to comfort children. Look, I'm sorry I can't do anything. He blinks several times. I can't handle this. Aren't I so useless you felt the need to send your maid to clean the apartment? I laugh with self-deprecation. Seems to make him smile despite himself. You know how embarrassing that is at my age? I was told it was quite the mess. Is that your idea of surveillance? He shakes his head. There's no need to be so distrustful. Did she do a report on the contents of my litter bin? Nothing of the sort. He finally laughs, like the notion is ridiculous. She didn't tell you about my pipe bomb then? Char's eyebrows rise. He's surprised, or just amused that I can joke about something so politically banal. Haven't heard anything about it. She must have missed it. You're not a terrorist, Amuro. He says that so confidently. Though, it would make some things interesting. You're ready to sacrifice people to keep things interesting for you. Aren't you meant to care about the lives of your citizens? Some sacrifices can't be helped. I can't maintain light-hearted chatter with him. All this joking always returns to the usual. They have families, Char. People who care about them. What about you? How many families have you ruined? Oh, is it staticky? Oh, it is staticky. For no reason whatsoever. Let me see. Sounds more? More static? Oh. It's gone. Okay. Yeah. I think we're good. But thank you for letting me know. I am definitely happy to fix audio issues if they arise. If I can. Who knows if I even did anything or if it just passed. Oh man, I'm disappointed though. I feel like it took me out of the mood for a second. No matter what I think about that, I feel like he's getting at something that's out of the scope of my understanding. New type or not. It just isn't enough, right? Makes me sad for him more than myself. Our conversations are making me cycle through all emotions so quickly, I'm not sure which one of us is more likely to require sedation. Probably Char, actually, because I'm feeling tired enough to drift off on my own. Sitting on the bed probably isn't helping. I let out a deep sigh. What are you going to do about this? Stick a plaster on it and call it a day. It's an odd spot for an injury. You don't have to worry about that. Char seems to remember only now why I'm holding his neck at all. He slides his hand over mine. Finally relieves me of my duty. Withdrawing just makes me feel unwelcome. He pushes himself up to sit in the bubble that confined us to an ethereal, untouchable space burst. On top of it all, he seems upset. Are you going to implicate me? Don't know why I'm asking this all of a sudden. The way he pauses to consider it makes my stomach drop, despite my preparedness for any consequence at this point. No, death. I'm only prepared for death. There are worse things. My pride would not allow me to beg for anything of Char, though. Not if you fulfill my original request. You're kidding me. Stooping so low to blackmail? Char smiles coyly. There's a thin wrinkle at the bottom of his lip, which makes him look oddly handsome. He's joking, but only in part. I guess this was a good trial run to curb my anxiety before the real thing. After all, I didn't mean to cut him at all. It's the best response I could have gotten, though it doesn't stop me from sulking. Hold up my sleeve. Only after you pay the dry cleaning. In other words, not today. He chuckles but nods easily. Good to know it isn't crunch time. You look ready to drift off. I'm embarrassed that he noticed on top of everything else. Stands up and leaves me alone on the bed, surrounded by all the bloody tissues. Maybe this is the sort of aftermath people expect when pleading mercy from an armed man. Whoops, sorry, on second thought, let's leave it at that. I wish I could relate to the scenario in my head. My own victim is too eager. I'm the uncooperative one. Why not sleep here? In your guest room? Why not? He's lost his mind, and I must have lost mine because I can't think of a single reason not to. I'm going back to the apartment. At least I'm still aware of my principles, and I'll be sticking to them. Do as you will. Char's relief postponed. Hair straightener accident. So silly. Alright, we got one more. But I think before then, I'm also gonna get a little more water and also take more little throat syrup so I don't stress out my throat too much. I wonder if you guys enjoy this. my fanfic reading, basically. I enjoy it. I wasn't sure what to expect in terms of like how, I don't know, how much romance versus more of a subtext thing. It's more of a subtext thing. But it's there, I get it. They're both so freaky, you know? They can't help themselves. Alright, give me a second. I'm gonna go get more drink, more syrup. And then we'll do final one. And then maybe just a little wrap up, depending on how long it goes. I feel like it's probably gonna be 40 more minutes. I think that'll be fine. All right. Wonder what the third one's going to be. If the first was him outright conceding, and the second one was toying with the idea of killing Char and postponing the cut, then the third one, I assume he finds some reason not to do any cut, or perhaps he just kills him outright. That's my prediction. We'll see in a second. I enjoy it. I enjoy the angst. I like a lot of angsty Char and Amuro things. I like a lot of other things too that are less angsty, but angst is always good for me. All right. Back to our choices. Let's see what we got this time. Yeah, I wasn't entirely sure like how much difference the route was going to have, because I was like, oh, is it just going to be like some minor differences or change a couple things here and there? But I was like, no, it was similar scenario, but definitely you could feel like it gives you different insights into this person's, version of their characters. And I like it. I could probably talk about it more at the end if I have time, but I do think that there's something about like Char's character, especially in like Counterattack, where I could kind of see him being like either suicidal or like desiring to be injured. Like he has that thing about him where he's like too proud to want to lose, but I think he deep down kind of does want to be stopped in some ways. So I kind of see a little bit of that here. And nice to see a lot of callbacks to things they've said before. I appreciate that. I'll have to look up to see if this person's doing another one, because like I said, I'm pretty sure I saw them drawing some Amuro that looked kind of like sprites as well, and I wasn't sure if they were going to make it into another thing. Man, I would love to make a game someday, whether it's like a visual novel, like a short visual novel or a short RPG maker. I just don't really have like I'm not very good at like planning out a story. It might surprise you, but I actually am not even the biggest fanfic reader. I'm much more of a art enjoyer and like, fan art comic enjoyer. Sometimes I do have my fanfic binges, but not too often anymore. Less and less as time goes by. And I've been pretty happy with this quality. Like, some fanfic have decent quality writing, but I gotta be honest, a lot of it is pretty cringe. It's pretty not well written. Or over-reliance on tropes and stuff like that, I guess. Decide to head to the room with the floor-to-ceiling windows that are visible from the gate outside. I assume it must be some sort of living room, though the drawing room is downstairs. Maybe that's the morning room, or some other type of room. Though I was the one who lived on Earth, I never bothered to learn the names or purposes of different types of rooms, as I never held any functions befitting them, and I was ready to let the tradition of hosting guests die out entirely. The only people who ever visited me were the former White Base crew and a number of night guests, none of which were official visits or raucous party occasions. Londobel has been inside this house before, though it wasn't me personally. Cyber or not, new type lab staff, especially higher ups, I preferred to leave to others. Clearly these others did a shit job. So much for Earth Federation intelligence. Maybe it was just the operatives' training that failed them. They probably just wanted to get all the lab investigations out of the way, not have to deal with all that any longer. In fairness, this house lacks any telltale sign of Neo-Zeon associations. Almost as though people aren't their governments. Except, of course, Char himself lives here. Maybe it's my curiosity inhibiting my sense of reason, because I realize I've made a mistake as soon as I open the door. The room is very wide or long, if I consider that I have entered from the side. Style of furnishings similar to the rest of the house, though much sparser here. If I didn't know any better, I would assume the owners are in the middle of moving out. Maybe Char just failed to mention it, but I doubt it. Seems to be nothing but 2 armchairs with a small table near the window. Takes up the wall to the left and an entire bar to my right. A bar, with the counter and hanging glasses and everything. I'm baffled. The room extends beyond it, where I can't see. What I can see, though, is Nanai, who, despite my instinct to skulk back out the door, has noticed me from one of the armchairs. It's as though she was waiting to catch me in the act. Her entire body turned in the seat to watch me. It's not like I barged in to cause such a reaction. Surely she expects her staff to wander the house. Surely she expects Char, at least. My thoughts haven't caught up with me yet, and my words are only trailing behind, so I don't manage to squeeze out an excuse before she's standing up, closing her book with an agitated snap and placing it on the table. Amuro VN. She greets me as Char often does, by name. Her voice, though, drips with distaste, almost as though she hates me more than he does. Sorry. I really should properly excuse myself and leave, but something compels me to stay put until she approaches me, maintaining a moderate distance between us. Perhaps she thinks I'll get violent. You needed something from me? Oh, great. She thinks I stumbled upon her on purpose. Or maybe Char sent me to fetch something. Which wouldn't be entirely wrong, I guess. I could play into that if I managed to find the words she's intimidated out of me. She's not any taller than me, nor does she have the air of any sort of scientist. But there's something about her that puts me on edge. I suppose she is a beautiful woman. She's out of uniform, which I had never seen before. She looks less severe like this, like she genuinely could be somebody's girlfriend, than somebody who at this moment is waiting for me, somebody who at this moment is waiting for me to return to mutilate him. My anger from earlier dissipates in the guilt of being caught red-handed, which is steadily being replaced by a desire to delay what feels inevitable. Coming into contact with a real human being must have snapped me out of Char's reverie. It's an interesting room. Some may view it as a waste of space, of colony space. My own apartment could fit in here 6 times over. She squints at me and realizes I must look sketchy avoiding her question. I just forgot. Char asked for something to cut a tag off his clothes. Just looking for something. I applaud myself for managing to think of an excuse, flimsy though it may be. Nanai looks at me unflinching. Does it even sound believable? Does she want an explanation for why he sent me? Does she want more explanation for an alleged purpose? At what point do I know that I've become undeniably suspicious? She seems to accept it to some degree. She suddenly steps further back into the room. I follow. Curious just how far back it extends. There's a table here too. The captain is in his office. She makes it seem like she's correcting me. Like she doesn't want to call him by his name. Yeah. If she thinks he's busy, it would make sense for him to have sent me, I figure. She's kind of handed me all the excuses. There's a cabinet in the back of the room, and she opens a drawer to rifle through it. Is he putting on a fashion show for you? Huh? The clothes tag. She pulls out a small cosmetic bag. Oh, no. He just found it on one of his... It's not new. I trail off several times, but I get somewhere. I get the sense she doesn't believe me at all, actually. Said it's scratchy. She eyes me up skeptically, but clearly doesn't care. She pulls a pair of nail scissors from her bag. She either doesn't consider me a physical threat to Char in general, or does not believe I could harm him with this miniature tool. She personally wants him dead. At least two are probably correct, unless I manage to catch him off guard and use all my might to cause, at most, a pinhole puncture. The scissors are ideal for my ostensible purpose, but I can't be rooting around her house to find something more suitable for the actual task. She holds the scissors by the handle, pointing the blades toward me for taking. Probably because it would take her time to flip them around in my hand if I chose to attack her. Not that I would have it in me to do that. Not that I want to. Honestly, not sure I keep coming back to this. Not like I've ever felt inclined to stab someone in my life. Just trying to think of what might actually be going on inside her mind. Isn't this empathy? How does she perceive me, my presence here? Does she know what I know? Does she know more? I was initially wary of just existing here in the colony, but either nobody realizes that Amuro of Londo Bell of the Earth Federation walks among them, or they don't care. Perhaps I've simply assimilated with my plain face and accent of no particular origin. Thank you to my fellow Side 7 immigrants for those few formative years of language acquisition. Thanks. Carefully take the tool by the offered blade and put it in my back pocket for her peace of mind. She doesn't move, and I'm immobilized too as she continues staring me down. Maybe I'm just waiting to be excused, a byproduct of my time in the military. Though I admit I was more of a rogue some years ago, before I grew up, and realized it's just easier to do what I'm told. Wonder if she's waiting for a more polite expression of gratitude before dismissing me. Should I return them after, or do you care, Miss Ennui? Before I consciously decide to commit to sucking up, my mouth is flapping on its own. Miss? Seriously? I feel so childish saying it, especially considering she's younger than me. Her lips part as she's taken aback. Mystified, I bet, though this is our first conversation of any note without Char's presence. What if I just speak like this ordinarily? How would she know? I would rather you not come back at all. She's surprisingly candid about her feelings with me. I understand her true meaning to extend beyond me bringing back the scissors, encompassing my visiting this house at all. I would readily oblige if not for Char. Astutely aware of social conventions, I know I have to ignore this. You and me both. I'm not certain my sentiment is true as I say it. It's not that I'm reluctant to meet Char because it's Char, and if I think about it, I'm less averse if our location is his actual government office, or a mobile suit hangar, or anywhere else. Maybe I just hate to encroach on a household. Something about happy couples. It's not like I'm a family guest, unless I get in her good graces. By commiserating regarding my being here, which will ironically make her want me to come over, which will make me want to come over. Don't know what this narrative I'm spinning in my mind is. Maybe these are the effects of spending several months in complete isolation, save for the occasional rendezvous with Char. It must be ill to use friendship about this. Frankly, I do not understand why you're here at all. You and me both, lady. That's surprisingly frank, though I agree. Why bring you here? There's distaste in the wrinkles of her scowl. She's still pretty, I noticed before my gaze drops to the ground, like a chastised child's. But I remember I'm no child, and I meet her gaze again. Why call you over on a whim like a dog? Some of our meetings are on somewhat short notice, I suppose. Is he attempting to humiliate you? Could be. But what is even the point with my infinitesimal remaining dignity? There's no need. You're pathetic. Maybe I had a little more hope than I thought. Now he has you playing fetch? I feel thoroughly cut down, but if she keeps going, I won't mind. In all honesty, I want to defend Char a little. I don't think he's the type to resort to such petty means to lord over me. I haven't even been threatened, really. I just figured I should do as he asks, for the benefit of peace. Not only the Earth sphere, but our own. As for fetching, I can think of a single instance before this. Or I can't think of a single instance before this. And this could hardly be considered the usual. Not that she knows the true nature of this request. I don't know why I'm here either. Say it simply, and not with the associated frustration I typically harbor. It's as people say that one can become astonishingly calm in the face of hysterics to compensate and inspire this calmness in the other. I hope someone figures it out sooner than later. I don't want you in my house. The way she says it, yeah. Suppose it makes sense the house is hers. She feels accomplished like that, mostly genealogically. See what I can do about it. She burst into laughter. Is the idea of reasoning with Char so unreasonable? I have to smile too. Get out of my sight. She says it rather softly. And knock next time. Some of her severity returns, so she must mean it. Whether she likes it or not, she expects me back. Looks like she'll even buckle to Char's whims, no matter how asinine. Such is the nature of a happy relationship. Yes, ma'am. I barely avoid saluting. Her words undo the spell on my legs, and I'm able to swivel around and exit with a light step. I almost forget the sickening task ahead. By the time I reach the door to Char's room, most of the bizarre elation is gone. But not all of it. Even though I feel somber opening the door, the sight of Char sitting on the bed does not depress me further. You know, I gotta say, I do think that Non-I was a little mischaracterized there. I I think Nanai actually is pretty astute when it comes to the movie, at least. Like, she really is very good at reading Char. Or at least as good as most people could be. Although, it would be interesting how she would react to Amuro face to face. Both as Char's lover and a new type researcher. Ooh, man, I'm drinking like... How much is this? Doesn't say. I don't know the volume of this. Drinking a lot of water, which is good. Maybe I won't be so headachy tomorrow. He greets me again, almost as Nanai did. Hello. Merry Christmas still for 2 more hours. Quickly lock the door behind me. Curtains are already drawn, no doubt in preparation for the fulfillment of his request. I'm ready. Not excited about this, but I do feel like I'm riding some sort of current, and as long as I let it carry me, this should go smoothly. I might not even take notice of what's happening, and I'll be over before I know it. Being the active party might cause some bumps along the way, but right now I feel like I could fall into a trance, or maybe dissociate entirely. He looks at me weirdly. Did he expect me to be put off? Maybe he wanted me to be put off. Maybe it really is one of his sick desires to see me sweat with anxiety and humiliation. And that won't be me today. He'll get exactly what he asked for. I pull the scissors out of my back pocket and present them to him, before him where I'm standing. His expression is curious. He isn't sure what to make of my choice of tool, no doubt. I didn't want to go rifling through your girlfriend's house. Subtle nod to my short expedition and newfound knowledge. There are things I now know that I don't want to explain anything to him. Like why in the world I ever told him I needed a cutting tool. Or how, in my effort to avoid lying, I'd fallen victim to my own contrivance. He doesn't seem perturbed by my knowing. If I think about it, really, the idea of Char owning real estate is laughable. He's a vagabond. He belongs on a traveling ship at best. He must realize he looks ridiculous, masquerading as a leader of a nation, with his ornate regalia and neat hair. If he wasn't wearing that white gown right now, I think I'd laugh. Hold on a second, let me double check. My music got a little crackly. Eh. I think he's good on your end. Excellent. I looked despondent that one evening at the mere thought of giving up his freedom. How did that change? When? How long have you been with her? It would hardly be her tying him down. She's not that kind of mastermind. Not that I could tell, at least. Still, could give me a clue. He raises his eyebrows. You're curious about my love life? Yeah, in fact, that is the actual reason I'm asking. I'm interested, nosy, want to know the true nature of their relationship. I understand when I act similarly myself, but why would Char forego time with his girlfriend in favor of this?
He's personable, verging on extroverted, yet I haven't seen him spend any time in leisure, never mind with her. It's only when she brings around documents to his desk in the middle of the workday I see him with her at all. Their conversations are brisk, his tone colder than when he speaks to me. He must be truly sick. Or is it just that she's not Lala? Difficult to think less callously of Lala when she increasingly frequents my dreams. Maybe I'm missing some key details. Of course, he wouldn't waste his free time on me. We're not friends. I'm part of his job, for whatever inane reason he's concocted in his head. Nanai's assumption that he's in his office reinforces this. I don't meet him outside business hours. I don't see him, and I don't know what he does. A firm separation of business and pleasure would be so like this new Char. He has me during the workday and Nanai in the evenings, on the weekends. I can convince myself of that. I know nothing of his life truly. Amuro. My thoughts have gone in every direction, I notice. Whatever. Let's just do this. Looking at the scissors clears my mind of all but my purpose here. That's good. I don't want to have a mental breakdown yet. But now I'm wondering, can these even cut skin? They're meant for nails, and would probably work on skin around the fingers, too. Cuticles or whatever. The forehead, though. I'm afraid I'll just mangle his face if I try piercing him with these. Decades of hobby engineering and actual engineering, to my surprisingly lesser degree, have taught me to keep my tools sharp. I held the scissors open in my fists and applied them to the finger pads of my free hand just to test the edge. One swift stroke and... shit. Why did I do that? I thought... I didn't think. That's the problem. Blood beads then disperse over my two fingers, surrendering its surface tension to my sweat. I can feel the salt seep in and it hurts. Oh, the scissors are sharp enough, all right. I let them drop on the floor in chronic petulance. This is by far not the worst pain I've experienced, but the ghosts of nicks around my hands barely come to mind under these circumstances. I didn't want this. I point my fingers at Char, who's sitting silently and looking mildly perturbed. Really? He's the one that started with something so unreasonable, so insane. This is his fault. My hand is mere centimeters from his face. The proximity, the accusatory gesture, wordlessly holding him accountable. He looks at them unsurely, may even be on the precipice of apologizing, judging by his facial expression. That's right. He made me do this. More or less. He looks up at me, and our intentions synchronize and... all of a sudden, my bloody fingers are enveloped by his mouth. My fingers rest between his teeth and blood on his tongue. It's wet, as one would expect. He breathes more heavily suddenly. His shoulders rise and fall with increasing amplitude. They're the only things moving in this room. Time is stopped for both of us. That doesn't satisfy me, though. I plunge slightly deeper, skirting the pads of my fingers along his smooth tongue. He gets the message and laps up the blood, as one would tending their own wound. He goes over the skin with slow diligence. Over and over. There's a great sense of atonement about the way he does it. I'm hardly bleeding anymore. The cuts are only superficial, but he keeps going until a flap of skin catches on his tongue and I hiss in pain. My hand jerks away, but Char follows like he's attached. He's no longer looking at me. His tongue continues to move, now more shallowly and carefully. It's apologetic and annoying. I show him exactly what I think of it by shoving my fingers in further, separating them until I can feel his molars. I could count his teeth if I wanted to. He pauses then, tongues uncertain at one finger, then another. He seems frazzled, and I feel a sense of victory. I'm returning his insanity twofold. It must be getting difficult for him to keep his mouth open, because his breath now unmistakably quickens. He's panting. Maybe I was waiting for him to show some sign of being affected, because suddenly I'm giddy. I want to dive inside. I want to hear him again. I curl my fingers until my knuckles hit the roof of his mouth. If he's not letting go, I'll do as I please here. My fingernails depress his tongue into its bed, and he's subdued, unable to supplicate me further. It's easier to form thoughts without him looking at me, and I'm able to think about what to do next. Not how he got here, though. It's difficult to care about that right now. I'm short of breath like him, but with excitement. A dribble of spit collects on his lip, and I'm contemplating. It's tinged orange with blood. He must not have swallowed yet. I wipe at it with my thumb, release his tongue from the clamp of my fingers. I don't withdraw them, though, and I push further until I'm stroking the back of his tongue where it's rougher. Swallow. Swallow. I urge him for his own sake. His dressing gown is white, and blood is difficult to wash out. Swallow, I repeat silently. I can tell it's unpleasant. His tongue jerks, and he gags with failed attempts to comply. Maybe it's impossible even. I pull my hand back until my fingertips, hooking to his incisors, are the only thing that tether me to his mouth. He swallows with relief. I feel a little guilty, but it's mostly fun how much he struggled. Entertaining, rather. He doesn't push me away. Give him a breather, but I don't want to take any chances. Whatever current I was riding before, I'm on it again. I'll do whatever needs doing, and right now, it's this. I need to take a drink of water. Merry fucking Christmas, y'all! I love Gundam. I love Gundam so much. Oh. Oh. Man, we almost thought we weren't gonna get any spicy. We thought it was all gonna be angst and suggestion. Before I know it, my free hand is going to the back of his head and nestling in his hair. It's coarse from whatever product he uses to style it back, but there's some give, and I'm able to latch on. He looks up at me with bleary eyes. Have I gone too far? Then closes them immediately. He rocks back, leaning his head into my hand, too slowly to misinterpret his intentions. He isn't pushing me away. He's swallowing, encouraging me to continue. I no longer feel any way about my injured fingers, so it's not anger compelling me. Maybe it's the frustration of these last several years, or the last decade, or my childhood, or my being born at all. Maybe this is just the only entertaining thing to happen since I set foot in Neo-Zeon's Sweetwater. It's evidence of my agency as a man. I grab him and pull him onto my fingers. Even if he expected it, there's no bracing for the impact against the back of his mouth. No escape as I hold him in place. I feel the corners of his lips between my digits. I'm as far in as I can go. There's little room to move around this deep. I can just barely spread my fingers into what I assume are his tonsils. He gags, and I retract my hand just enough for him to recover. I don't want him to throw up on me. My second plunge is gentler, shallower. I prod at his tongue instead. He licks between my fingers. A thought crosses my mind to visualize Chan, or even Nanai. But I like to think I have some amount of integrity considering my parentage. No. I accept that not to be the case, and still my mind conjures nothing. It's Char in front of me. Even when I stop moving inside his mouth, his tongue doesn't. It laps against the pads of my fingers, like he's still trying to soothe the pain. Then hesitantly circles around the circumference of each knuckle in what feels like a crude infinity sign. Wonder if he's done this before, and if so, when? Why? He glances at me again, and I can tell that no. I'm the only one permitted to punish Char Aznavour. I always have been. His eyes are bleary. He tries to keep them focused on me, no longer cautious about me ceasing whatever this is. He's so presumptuous. What if the crystal blue of his irises knocks some sense into me regarding the absurdity of the situation? I can see his tongue peek out from between his lips as he attempts to lick his way up to the next set of knuckles. Don't look! Don't look! Oh, why does my internet say it's unstable? What the frick? Why is Twitch suddenly saying my stream is unstable? My internet looks stable. Okay. That was weird. It had a little dip there. I realize that, embarrassingly, it is me who made the noise, despite none of this feeling particularly pleasurable. Don't look! This is our once-a-year smut. Yeah, Twitch was trying to save you from joining. They were like, oh hell no, you don't look. Char's movements are clumsy, and his teeth graze the back of my fingers, which I guess means nothing here. But I'd have liked him to expend a little more effort. Doesn't look like he's going to thrive without my input. Can't exactly tell him he doesn't have a knack for it. Is that enough? I haven't actually done anything for a short while. Nothing but hold him in place. As though he wouldn't stay put by himself. I'm starting to see through him. I pull my fingers out. He attempts to follow again. It's just too bad. I happen to be clasping his hair in my dominant hand. His head yields to me. He gasps, not with relief, but He gasps, not with relief, but anticipation, and I can no longer stand it. I don't have a sensor. I don't think that there's going to be... Do I need a sensor? I thought this was only going to be suggestive. His arms that were immobile all this time rise and reach out, and I step back, release him, watch him waver on the bed. I catch my breath while his eyes are dizzy and unfocused. He'll have to keep himself upright on his own now. His arms remain futilely extended. I'm out of his reach now. There's no way his pants are looking that flat after all that. No way. You guys can't see my mouse. Pointing to Amuro's crotch. Wake up! I only feel pressure watching him pathetically regain any semblance of composure. It's in the pit of my stomach, emanating out, and I must move before it paralyzes me. I must move before he can see me clearly. Amuro. His eyes are closed again, like he doesn't want to see my response. He doesn't see me walk across the room, but the sound of the lock is unmistakable. The creak of the hinge, the door settling back into its frame. I beeline for the exit. I have to scale the gate to get out, so be it. I suppose I could have hid it in the bathroom and let it pass. The whole thing. There's still time. We could still return to his original plan. So trifling in the wake of what just occurred. No. If he feels restless again, he can call on me then. I doubt I'll be waiting long. Char's ennui compounded. He is not okay. Masha, we need you to come back. We need you to write a sequel. Hurry. Hurry, Masha. I need you. Masha, please come back. You can't end it there. Things are just getting crazy. Masha, come back. I've forgotten every thought I had before this. All of my thoughts are gone now. I'm glad I played them in that order. You know what? I enjoyed them all in their own ways. What did you think? Did you have a favorite? I enjoy the symbolic appeal of... Here, let me put some music back on. I enjoy the symbolic appeal of Char wanting to like reopen his scar. I feel like I also see a lot of comics about that. Or some of them also about like Amuro's scar, because like it kind of doesn't really get shown a lot anymore. I think some people are under the assumption that Amuro's shoulder scar faded.
And that's one thing that I like to think about, too. Is them caressing each other's scars. Like, I was looking at this other comic the other day. I actually showed it to Arts. Where it's like, Char says, like, oh, you know, every time I look in the mirror, I think about you. Not a day has gone by that I haven't thought of you. Some Japanese, like, little fan comics on Twitter and Pixiv and stuff. So I understand the appeal of that. And I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, you said you like Char to be the top. That's true. But I also enjoy the service tops, you know. I think Char could absolutely... I don't want to say it. I'm embarrassed now. I'm so bad at... I don't know. Yeah, I think Char... You know what? We'll be crazy. We'll be crazy today. I think... Here, we'll whisper it, okay? I think Char would probably enjoy sucking on a dick. I think he'd be good at it. It doesn't make him not a top, though. Because, like, in Japanese BL, there's a lot of times where you could still be a top and also be, like, you know, interested in giving pleasure to the other person. Okay. Done whispering. That's a secret. Don't tell anybody. You know, it's not like... I don't know why it is in American culture, or like Western culture. People act like... It's even crazier for, like, straight people. I'm always like... You guys remember a couple years ago, there was, like, a thing on Twitter where people were like, oh, Batman would never go down on Catwoman. And it's like, why? Are you Like, I don't understand. I don't understand the idea of, like... Okay, maybe it's one thing if it's not, like, your favorite thing. But, like, let's say you're a straight guy, like... Are you saying you really don't... Like, you don't want to get all up in there? Are you sure? Maybe... Are you actually attracted to women? Like, I'm not saying you're attracted to men. I'm just saying, like... Maybe you don't like them as much as you think you do. But, yeah. It's the same thing, but for two boys. So... Yeah, I don't know why that started. Was it like... I don't remember what even... Was it like one of the movie directors talking about it? Or like one of the comic writers who just randomly was like... my Batwoman... Or my Batman would never give Catwoman, you know, oral sex. And I was like... But why? That's such a weird thing. I don't understand that masculinity thing. It was a comic writer? Ugh, that's so stupid. Like, I don't understand that, like, masculine part, or why that's considered, like, straight masculine culture to not want to do oral sex. Like, really? Are you sure you like women? You don't seem like you're that interested. Whatever. But, so yeah, that was pretty cool. I also like it when Amuro is, like, toying with the idea of killing Char, or Char toying with the idea of letting Amuro kill him. That's also very good to me. I also greatly enjoyed that. It was a good time. Let me think. What exactly happened in the second one? I kind of blacked out there after the third one. After that, they postpone it. But yeah, I really liked... At the end of the first one, I really liked how, he was like, if it heals over, I'll call you back to open it up fresh. Like, I get that. I like that one a lot. It's more symbolic. Third one kind of went crazy there at the very end. I was like, whoa. I do kind of maintain, I'm not sure how I feel about, Nanai's writing. Show creator, co-creator, yes. That's what I was like, I don't remember if it was an actual... I do think some of the Batman comic writers did start to throw in their statements about whether they thought Batman has oral sex with Catwoman or not. But I couldn't remember who, like, started it. That's crazy. Fellas, is it gay to drink lemonade? Yes. It'd be hard to sell toys. I mean, I was about to say what 10-year-old knows about it, but then I was like, you know what? These days, toys are mostly for adults, aren't they? Like, there's a large percentage of toys that are just for adults, and I feel like that's true especially for, like, Batman-type things, too. I mean, I have a couple of action figures. Like, what? So I get it. But I also feel like if you're an adult and that's your opinion, that's kind of lame. Toys for adults only have Gundam models. I have a variety. I mostly have just anime statues, some play models, some actual, like, I actually do have a couple, like, Bat Family action figures from the McFarlane line. Oh, I also have the Kotobuki Batman and Robin figures. You guys want to see what those look like? Let me pull up the... Not to go into Batman too much. Ugh. Let's see. Batman. Ugh. Where is it? Ugh, I can't find it here. Hold on. Need another second. I can't find it. Why can't I find it? So yeah, third one was pretty good. Although it does kind of leave the characters getting a little blue balled at the end. Here it is. Come on. Paste. And this Batman figure. And the Robin one too, that goes with it. Yeah, I think I would have just changed some of Nanai's writing. Just because, like, I mean, I can imagine her being hostile to Amuro. I just think that she's a lot more clued in. You know, I don't think she would be quite as, like, oh, why are you here? I think she would also play it a little bit cooler than that, you know. I don't know, it's also kind of funny, the idea that this is, like, it's not even Char's house, it's Nanai's house. He just brings his boy toy over, like, damn. He's a freak. He's just freaky like that. But yeah, I'll need to wait for more Gundam works. I don't know. I don't know if I have the courage to do this. I don't... Man, it's probably... I don't really play, like, very many dating games on stream. I've only kind of done a couple here and there. Maybe it's for the best. I don't know if I'm cut out for when things get spicy for stream. Maybe once a year. I can only do it once a year. You could see Char doing what? Sorry, I didn't see what you were responding to. I'm so happy, though, that he didn't use the scissors at the end. Oh, just bringing over whoever he wants? Yeah, I feel like whoever's dating Char knows that he's just like that. And that they can't really count on him to be, like, in a relationship 100%. Like, Rekoa at least understood that and got out. Even though she arguably went to, like, the worst version of Char. Reko wanted that Shirokok. The Paptimus Shirokok. She couldn't resist. This music is so cheerful over this this grim screen. That's kind of funny. But yeah. You know, if you're a Gundam fan and you don't mind the shipping, even if it's not your thing, you can at least see enjoy my being a little crazy. Hopefully you enjoyed some of the writing, even if the shipping isn't your thing. Hopefully I can win people over. But then I'll have to make a different thing to be like why I personally like Char to be on top. Don't get me wrong, like I definitely have like a small percentage of like allowance for Switch and for Amuro to be on top as well, but it's just not the same. I feel like it's just like Char has like peak yearning, peak obsession. I think Amuro can get kind of baited into being like a little bit obsessed. But Char is like, it's just in his nature to be very obsessive about things or people. Well, I'm curious exactly where this, like, from my understanding, where this story takes place. We already crashed one asteroid into Earth, just not the axis, so. It's like, I don't know, man. That's still pretty freaking bad. It's hard for me. I don't know if I could forgive him for that. I'd still be pretty mad. But yeah, that's my Christmas stream. I had a short Digimon stream, and then I wanted to play this game. I'm happy that I did. I don't know. It's kind of goofy to share this with you guys. Not something I would normally do. Maybe if I find more Gundam fan games. We'll see. I don't think we'll ever... I don't know if we'll reach this peak ever again. I was so freaking nervous at the start. My heart was pounding so bad. I was like, oh god. Because I really wasn't sure, like, what to expect exactly. And then to be doing it in front of you guys, I was like, oof. And like, you know, once I kind of got into the flow, I was like, okay, I don't want to interrupt the story too much. I just want to narrate. Man, it was getting crazy at the end. But Amuro ran away. See, I for a second I thought he was like gonna lock the door, and they were going to, you know, fade to black, and wake up, wrapped in each other's embrace. Or I also was afraid for a second that Nanai was walking in. That's why the door was opened. But no, he ran away. He cowered it out. It's okay, Char. There's always next time. There's always next time. Oh, I wish there was like a little gallery to see the final comics again. Blonde Gune. Silly. So silly. Alright, well, I am going to probably go and not think about Gundam for the rest of the night. Merry Christmas! Happy Char and Amuro Day! It's not Char and Amuro Day. What would Char and Amuro Day be? I don't know. Maybe halfway between their birthdays? Maybe the day they first meet? Like in person? Anyways. Silly stream, but also very embarrassing. I think I will probably put it on YouTube. What if it gets flagged? What if it's too sultry for YouTube? I don't know what's considered sultry. But I probably will. And you can also, if you want, I had the link in Twitch. You can go get the game yourself. You can also give them money if you want. I did give them money, even though it was already free when I got the game. Because I knew that I was going to like it. So I gave them some dollars. Alright, that's enough. Merry Christmas. Eat some fried chicken, eat some salmon, eat some cake, eat some good food. Think about Char and Amuro. And Char tonguing Amuro's fingers. Good night. It has to be a good night because you have to have good thoughts. No bad thoughts anymore. You can't have bad thoughts when Char and Amuro are making sweet, passionate love. Only good thoughts. Unless it's a bad ending where they also both die. But that's also good. That's also good thoughts. Good night.